All right. Well, let's get to it because I think it might be somewhat synchronized with the game coming back up, and then you can put it into practice right away.
Sounds good.
All right. So, load 39 more images. All right, that's a whole lot of images. Well, we'll get through all of
Yeah, I
those.
realized I could have probably compiled them a little better instead of individual images, but this already took me quite a while because I'm not very good with cropping and whatnot. So
Okay.
I decided you'll just suffer this time.
Okay. Well, we'll make do. It's fine. So you are a 248 DualBlade.
Yes.
Still very much in like with the character.
Yeah, it's the only one I've been able to not quit and change mains after at a certain like plateau point. It's the first time I want to like push as far as I possibly can, I guess.
Okay, and you're already pushing quite far. You're already go towards 250.
Yeah, that's one of my goals right now because my Lucid party is talking about doing will, and I would love to do my normal amount of damage. Having the thought of doing reduced damage is just kind of cringy.
No, well, in the moment you're very, very busy with the mechanics of the boss, so it's not, in the moment you don't really stop and realize, but it is a mental block thing for sure that can hold you back from feeling like you're carrying your own weight and stuff. Is the rest of the party like around the same level, or are they already in their 250s?
So I just joined this party a couple weeks ago, and they were all in their low 240s and high 230s, and now they're all like mid 240s already. So I know that these are some gamers.
Yeah,
and, I want to
creeping closer.
Yeah, so I want to hit 250, so I don't have to worry about this being like a hard will and hard lucid party one day too.
Yeah.
Yeah, because my group seems to progress pretty fast.
Yeah, I feel that. In the guild, I was, 265 for a long time, and then everyone started creeping up on the early 260, and I was like, oh, wait a minute. I should get some levels, too, because these guys are not playing around, so I'll get to 270, but I don't even feel like I can really rest there, because with the new areas and everything, the rates are kind of nutty, so people are creeping in closer and closer, so... I mean, yeah, and at the upper end, there's much less speed of growth, so eventually people will get really close.
Yeah, and I feel like those levels start to mean a little bit less past a certain level point.
Yeah, once you have all of your necessary skills in your matrix, and the hyperstat points need hundreds to get one extra level. Yeah, the level increase is not as super important anymore. So how's DualBlade still feeling? Because a lot of people kind of rag on the training, right? On the mobbing.
Yeah, I mean, I also recently joined the community DualBlade Discord, which is funny because a lot of people are talking about what it's like to be a Shadower and a Lord in there, because I think that's how many people switch to train and then switch back, especially in normal servers, which obviously is not really an option for reboot as much because you can't buy nodes, but
yeah, it's a bit tricky. Yeah, you gotta get all those nodes in.
But yeah, I didn't mind grinding all the way on a DualBlade. After a 5th job, it's really not that bad if you have a cooldown hat. Before that, like level 1 to 200, I think I utilized like Pillow EXP back in the Goblin Night Market a lot to just push my character, because
all the little bits you could you could find.
Yeah, man, training a 4th job DualBlade is just not very entertaining. But yeah, I really like the class, and I want to see how far I can take it, especially with like the, I guess, reboot changes that are coming out. I'm not sure how much it's going to actually affect a DualBlade because their base damage percent isn't very high, but I'm assuming it'll be an overall buff for anybody past 250. So, or even before that, but especially in the later levels. So yeah, I want to see as power creep keeps growing, how far my character can go, I guess.
Okay, and then yeah, in the short term that would be like 250, and then probably normal will practice, and then trying to move into hard lucid, hard will party.
Yeah, so I have like a list of goals here actually.
Okay. Good.
I'll just share them all with you, and you can let me know what you think.
Yeah.
So I want to go.
I'll tell you if they're ridiculous or no.
I mean, some of them might be, but I'm willing to work towards the ridiculous. So
Good.
go as far as I can group and solo bossing. So I mean, probably by the time I can get to Black Mage, it will be a lot easier, and people will be probably clearing whatever that new guy is. And short term wise, hitting 250, eventually 265 or 270, but that's 250, and then I think I'm going to work on my next goal after that, which is 6 to 8k Legion. It's probably stopping at 6k to work on my main character again, and then heading back to 8k after a good stopping point. 5-set Arcane seems pretty straightforward nowadays, especially with upcoming events. So that seems like a realistic goal. Just maxing my symbols so I can spend my time not doing dailies. And then just the other couple goals I have are like becoming as knowledgeable as I can about my class so I can help other people to learn the class. As well as I just want one like super godlike item, one that stands out a lot so I can just stare at it, make it my wallpaper, you know.
Maybe use items megaphones.
I don't really like flexing it that much as
Okay.
Well, maybe between my close friends, but I enjoy just the satisfaction of gear upgrades. So like having that one that you never had to touch again, feel really good.
Well, or until the foreseeable future, because
and
never again is very rare in this game, right? Depending on how long you play.
There's always some upgrade, but
some new area, some new power creep, some new way of upgrading,
So those are all my short and long-term goals with this game. For now, like you said, the game's always changing, so those could all change too. But I also have like listed out probably like 30 different questions to ask you as we go through.
Sure.
So be prepared.
Yeah. Well, do you have the questions kind of bundled per like topic or per system in the game?
Yeah, I have gear questions, character questions, account questions, and just overall tips.
Okay, so usually I kind of go through all the systems to make sure you have like a baseline understanding of like how it works and where to go with everything, and then from there on out I kind of get to the equips last to kind of like round out all of the information and make sure that because at that point all of it I think will make more sense because it kind of falls into place and borrows a little bit from all of the different systems that we talked about before, and then with all of that in mind and like overarching information like upcoming stuff in KMS and ongoing events and everything, kind of come up with like a game plan, short term, mid term, long term for your equips.
Cool. Yeah, so that's why I have them sectioned off, so as you bring up topics, if the questions aren't already answered, I can kind of bring them up.
All right, cool. So I guess I mean I see familiars here. One of the two main things is like critical rate through the levels, ID through the levels. DualBlade has a pretty unique positioning in that, in the sense that you can get that critical rate up pretty high, but like in the end game, from what I understand, you still want to get to 100% at all situations, right? Because you don't want to have to rely on that dodge all the time, and in some situations you can't rely on the dodge.
So if you look at my crit rate as well as my IED, that's without familiars on for both of them. The crit rate with the event buff, I'm at 100%. Without it, I would have to put some points somewhere in Legion or Hyperstats a little bit, plus the decent Sharp Eyes, because the first picture has no buffs, including Sharp Eyes, so that would be another
10%.
What is it? 10%. Yeah. So I think
and the buff right now is 20
problem.
or sorry, the buff right now is that 20% or is 15?
Yeah, but I also haven't made a marksman or a night lord, and my beast tamer is level 200. So if I get 10 more levels and then actually make those 2 legion pieces, I don't think I'll have to worry about crit. But then if you look at my really troll weapon, then you'll see that the crit rate will go back down. But that's when I would look towards my second line of inner ability. As soon as I found out the changes to like the arcane stuff, I stopped putting any work into my weapon and just left it at that really interesting potential.
You know, just have a little bit of everything. You know, not.
Yeah.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Like min-maxing weapon secondary and emblem over 2 useful lines is typically a very expensive endeavor, and I don't advise people to go and do that too early, because it'll just be very inefficient money spending, unless you're unironically like farming 4 to 6 hours a day on like a side character to give yourself trillions to work with. Then you can do whatever you want, of course, but in general, min-maxing the WSE too early, I think, is probably something you definitely want to get it up before everything else, but min-maxing it too early is probably something that holds people back from getting a lot more stat on all their other stuff combined.
Yeah, and that's part of the reason I just kind of am leaving it, and I also figured it would be a big enough like meso dump once the droplet exchange comes around and a weapon actually becomes a potential item I could use. Yeah.
And the attack will be an insane boost for you, so
yeah.
It's really quite nuts.
I think flat and percent attack is really good for a DualBlade, right? Because they get so much extra attack just from their secondary, being able to start and whatnot.
Yeah, and the extra percentage attack. Well, the secondary is just so good because of the Star Force, yeah. Gives you the extra attack, and then the percentage attack becomes more valuable, yeah. And you have the secondary at a 160 tier as well, which is the only... It's like the only character that can do that, right? I think only the Terminus Defender would also get that. But
yeah,
so you get a little bit of...
Has anybody even got that?
No. No, I don't... I saw one Terminus item when the stuff came out, and I think it was so rare that people already immediately gave up to try to go for it. And now with all of the news of one-handed and two-handed and attack speed and everything changing, you'll see fewer and fewer people actually trying to go for it.
Yeah, because the only people that use a shield right now are heroes and the non-existent paladin, right? So
the warrior shields, yeah.
In terms of those, because that's the hero is the class that's getting the attack speed buff, right? Out of all the like relevant classes that use shields, because Shadowers didn't get one, and neither did either the demons, right?
You're talking about classes that specifically use shields? I mean,
that are getting the attack speed buff in KMS. Right? It was only heroes, I thought.
Yeah, they're the only ones where you kind of look at the inner ability and there would be a shift because of it, yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't play heroes, so I'm not too fussed about it, but...
yeah, it is kind of exciting to see. But,
one of my big questions, I guess, to kind of start off stuff is just, is there any glaring gaps you immediately see? Just like big hole that is an immediate like red flag or something like that?
Well, you're familiar with the progression sheet, right?
Yes, I've definitely stared at that bad boy for a minute.
So I think you will, if you've looked at it as well, you can probably see that there's no huge, I don't think any huge discrepancy with that, right?
Not that I immediately noticed. I saw that since I should be entering the end game, you know, in the next few months, getting to 40 to 60k stat that it like kind of says would be the ideal area seems like it would take longer than any of those other parts on there, I guess.
Well, yeah, the 60 is like everything is perfect, right? Like everything is literally as perfect as it can possibly be. Most people will be for a very long time be like between the 45 and like the 48 or 49k stat range for pretty much ever. But some people who really push the boundaries on everything, 22 everything, best flames, full potential, maybe even double prime lines, everything, those people will be like approaching 60k stat. But it's a combination of everything, right? So like the Star Force, that's the cubing, that's the Legion, the flames, like it's all of those things working together. So that's why that one will have the biggest discrepancy, because it's min-maxing on everything else combined.
That makes sense.
So the where do you think you have the biggest gap? Because your Legion was already at 6k or was closing in on 6k?
It's in the middle. It's I think at 4.7 or something like that. It's something I told myself I'd work on, and then they're like, here's a vac pet, and I was like, all right, I guess I'm only touching one character for the next 3 months, and that's what I did.
That is a lot of that's a huge carrot to dangle in front of your face with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it kind of made me take a break from even the idea of any sort of Legion stuff, because I
Mhm.
do have a somewhat limited amount of time I can play. I generally just do my dailies and log off, and then on days off like today, I'll usually, do my weeklies slash pop a totem
Mhm. Mhm.
and enjoy from there. But I don't get like a totem a day or anything like that,
Mhm.
So I wanted to make the most out of the compensation when I could, and now is I felt like a good time to reach out to you and also start to plan on 6K Legion to see, now that I can just stop brainlessly farming, like what I should be doing, I guess.
Right. Yeah, I'm a huge fan for Legion of just logging in, killing Zakum, and logging off on a bunch of characters. I feel like it's very efficient for the little bit of time that you spend. Zakum arms give a whole lot of EXP, and it allows for some slow but steady level creep on characters once you get them to 100. And that's something I slowly do in the background, and that's something you can just squeeze in as well, right? You have 15 minutes, you can do 2 or 3 characters, and then just log off, and you don't have to commit to a whole bunch of setting things up and moving around link skills or anything like that. It's just like log in, Zakum, log out, and I think that gets your characters to 140 eventually in a decent time frame, because that's what you're looking for, right? You're looking for a whole legion of 140s, and then 6K
Yeah.
is basically free. That and just participating in as much as you can in the burn, mega burn, terra burn, like those are where all the free levels come from, I guess. When it comes to the higher level stuff and like the bonking and everything, that's your setup for getting to 8K, but that doesn't so much help you with your 6K setup. So
Yeah.
depending on where you're at and your time available,
Yeah, I have I guess a question on that then. So if I'm aiming for 6K, would it be better to go for 30 level 200s because that would fill out the board better, or just go for the ease of the 140s and go for 40 plus level 140s that I'll eventually push to 200?
You'll get to 6K way faster if you just make a bunch of 140s.
Okay.
If you make 30 level 200s, you can put them all on the board. The thing is, like, the efficiency definitely if you go from rank B to rank A, with level 60 to 100, right? And then 140 is S. Yeah. Then that goes from 2 to 3, so that's a 50% efficiency. But then if you go from 3 to 4, you go from rank A to S. That extra 60 levels takes you way longer. Plus that efficiency is going from 3 to 4, so that's only 33% increase there on the efficiency. So I think it's probably a better idea to just go mass numbers in the beginning, because that will also give you access to all of the existing link skills in the game. And and pretty much or almost all of the existing relevant Legion board buffs, and then you can use those in turn later if you want to go for 8K to empower those 140s. And 140 is a good spot, like you can farm for your own pencil gear, you can upgrade your own stuff, you can redirect a little bit of money from your other characters, you can put all the links in Legion that matter specifically to that character on there, and then you can grind them out one at a time to 200. And then of course you still go by hopefully by the optimal level that will give you things like critical damage and critical rate and percentage damage and all of that, and maybe even get some level 3 links in there every now and then, so you can start the whole snowball, the bigger snowball, put it back on top of the hill and start rolling it down again. And then your main character will benefit the most from all of those level 3 links as well. From like an efficiency standpoint, that's how I would want to do it. If you just have way more fun already going on a character, if starting a new character and doing those first 20 levels is like pure torture for you, then you could do it the other way as well, if that fits like your style better and how much time you have and just how you enjoy the game. But yeah, that's kind of like the difference between like the efficiency time-wise and what you would prefer personally, I guess.
Gotcha. Okay, so basically I should just make all those like lower characters you see towards the bottom, I should just push them to 140, and I'll probably already be pretty close, since I have a decent amount of level
1, 2, 3,
200s.
4, 5, 6, 7.
There's also a few that aren't on here because they're pre-60. I have like a lot of level 50s for some reason, and I don't know why.
Well, they probably weren't your thing, so you
No,
logged
no,
off,
yeah,
I
I
guess.
do know why, but I don't understand how I couldn't push at least 10 more levels to get to 60, so they would count towards my Legion. But yeah, I
Yeah, it
just
could be the Legion setup. What kind of setups do you rock? Do you have like one for mules and one for your main, or one for bossing, one for mobbing? Like what kind of?
I honestly just use the same one that I use for bossing for everything. 'Cause I can't be bothered to like make another one, but I really should. I know it makes a difference in your EXP gains if you put some in there, but it
Well, the main
seems
thing
kind of marginal now.
for Legion building, the main one is critical rate.
Yeah.
And maxing that one out, or almost maxing that one out, and putting all the critical rate links on new characters, because critical damage is a huge source of damage for new characters. But if most characters start with horrible critical rates, so none of that damage goes through, and it's even more important than putting it in bonus EXP, because I mean, if you get 10% more EXP, or you kill the monsters twice as fast because you have all your critical damage applying, you know, that's basically 100% experience versus a 10% experience. So when it comes to the preference there, filling out your critical rate is for almost all the characters that you're going to be leveling is going to be a huge damage boost and a leveling speed boost for them. So
yeah,
I guess I would advise doing a second setup and then just trying to fill out critical rate and critical damage. And then with everything you have left, you could do bonus experience or just do stat and weapon attack in the beginning and like nothing else, like no IED, no boss damage, like nothing there gets touched.
It seems like most characters can one-shot up until about when I would quit them anyways, which would be like level 100 and let them just farm zack them. So that's why I guess I didn't make one, because on most characters, just the link skills and whatever Legion I'm already running generally seems
good enough.
Allow me to one shot up till that point at least, you know.
Yeah, it might depend per character. Some of the newer characters probably yes. Like all of the last 10 classes that came out probably were all capable of doing that.
Oh yeah, all the more recent characters can just full clear the map at level 30. So.
Yep. Some explorers tend to have a little bit of a slow start.
Yeah, I definitely think I'll have to do that if I'm pushing to 8K. Like past 140 it slows down real hard for sure, because the monster HP goes up by a lot compared to earlier levels.
Definitely, yeah. Comparatively, yeah, skyrockets for sure.
Okay. So in terms of Legion, hitting 6K will be a good enough short term, or do you think I should just do dailies on my main and push Legion, not even like think about toteming on my main until my Legion's at like 7 or 8K?
I think 6 is very solid for a long time, especially if you have a class that doesn't rely as heavily on the crit and the IED. Then it's not as important, because you'll be able to redirect everything else to the boss and the regular damage and the critical damage and emphasize that, and that'll allow you to already increase your damage by a whole lot. Certain other classes, I would say, they probably benefit percentage-wise way more for bigger Legion, but if you spend that time instead on leveling up your character, then you'll get more final damage on bosses and you get access to new areas and more symbols and all that. So then that way you will see more gains there. Yeah, I would probably dedicate the totems if you think it's necessary for the Terror Burns to just get them finished so that you can move on with other things. I don't know what you're Terror Burning now. Is it the Paladin or?
No, it's my Shade. The Paladin was my first character ever on Reboot, and he's just probably not going to be touched for a while, because that class is not as bad as it used to be, but it's not as good as any other class that I...
Even with the Arcane, it couldn't save him?
Yeah, I gave it to him, and it's still just... It feels more clunky than I'd like, which, you know, from a tanky class, or what's supposed to be a tank, it makes sense, but it's just... I enjoy the fluidity of my Blade Master right now. Feels like you can just fly through maps and blow up the screen, which you
Thieves
can't really
do have that, yeah. A bit more than giant armored walking tanks, yeah.
Yeah, so it's just not the playstyle I'm looking for at the moment, but maybe I'll come back to him one day and like get him all his symbols and stuff. Who knows?
Who knows? Yeah. Oh yeah, so the Shade was now, and are you planning on getting it past 200, just leaving it at 200? Because extra rewards, right?
past 200 because of the rewards and also because the class isn't that bad.
Mm-hmm.
But I also don't know if time efficient wise, if it's better to do that or just start working on the rest of my Legion.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah. The reward at 220 would be the extra Absolab weapon, right? That's kind of that could be an extra motivator if there's a character you want to get to 200, you don't have to want to wait for events and stuff. You can get it to 160 and then give it the Fake Lab weapon. That would definitely give it quite a big boost to help it get to 200 as well for something that has a very good rank S for Legion, like a Hayato, for example, you know, which otherwise a lot of people don't enjoy all that much getting up to 200. So that could be an extra motivator. But again, like how much time you have will definitely be a hindrance there, or deciding factor there. Yeah, 220. I feel like 210 is pretty free, just with how good link skills are on most characters, and just hopping around clearing stuff. 220 does take some extra commitment. I don't know if you have the extra totems and time for that.
Yeah, totems wise, I never go through all my totems. It's I have plenty of reward points that just end up expiring more often than not,
Okay.
because I can only go through about half my totems at best per month.
Okay.
And I would be down to start using them for just smaller portions of time, so they don't go, so the points don't expire, and just go like an hour even on a Legion character. Something like that. Or if you think it's worth it on the Shade was fun enough, and I would be down to actually experience the 5th job, not just leave it at 200.
Push the button one time and then be like, okay, neat.
Yeah. Exactly. So because it's kind of a cool class that I haven't seen much on, it was fun to play. I feel like it's pretty underrepresented. Actually, it had decent everything aside from I hate not having an up jump. So now that I'm 200, I guess I have rope
vertical
lift.
mobility is a yeah. You have the teleport kind of works up sometimes, but you just have to cross your fingers and hope it targets something that you wanted to target.
Yeah, or the backstep can kind of work depending on platform height, but it's just not the same as
no,
an up
it's
jump.
definitely not the same. Yeah, I found it way more enjoyable on 5th job. Before that, I found it pretty not bad, but not great. Just like pretty straightforward, maybe a little bit boring, but like nothing fancy. But the 5th job definitely made it a bit more enjoyable, and they've got the split and everything. I think the main reason that Shade is quite a bit underplayed is because they have a pretty prolific position as a support in KMS where they're designed for, but of course KMS doesn't have Kana, so if you could choose between a Shade support or a Kana support, in almost every single situation they're gonna go for the Kana support instead, and then Shade is kind of like left in the cold. But you did see the earlier Black Mage runs all had like Kana, Shade, and Bishop as like the support trio, and then 3 DPSs, and that seemed to be like the strong foundation for all of those parties.
Yeah, that was the original meta, but now I heard Shade's split actually reduces the damage of some classes. Like Night Lord was the prime one I saw, which of course is a pretty common bursting class.
Yeah, it could depend what character or what class composition you have in your party. That will determine if it's a good addition to your party or not.
Yeah, so thinking about making it a bossing meal / second main, but after reading more about it and hearing about how it's kind of not great in GMS and it's really useful in KMS, like you said, so it's probably never going to get any sort of buffs, means I probably would stray away from it, just because I don't want to be that unwanted support class that doesn't quite do as much damage, and you feel slightly clunky like that Paladin, where you're just like tanky but not as mobile. So yeah, I kind of strayed away
good
from
survivability though, very good.
Yeah, one of the highest in the game. But I don't know. I also,
that's not always enough.
yeah, I feel like every class has some decent survivability at this point, and I'm used to like a DualBlade that has multiple iframes and dark side and like knockdown resistance. And the survivability on a DualBlade has to be one of the highest in the game too, if you're just thinking about it from that like a bossing standpoint.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, Dark Side plus those plus 2 iframes is a very solid combo for sure.
What were we even talking about? Just Legion?
Just
I
Legion
feel
in
like...
general, yeah, just
Okay,
Legion
yeah.
and which characters to Terra Burn and stuff. I don't know if you had an idea for the next Terra Burn.
So I was actually thinking Angelic Burster, because that's one I know you need the 210 on if you want it to be worth it, and it's one that would help my BA, because my BA actually is something I wanted to kind of touch on slightly, since when I did one recently, it was only like 1.5 trill, which seems kind of low for where I'm at. I know that finishing my V Matrix will help a lot with that, but regardless, it felt somewhat low for where I was at in this point of the game. So I know things like the Angelic Burster link and just link skills in general, Kadena link and the Mage, and I don't know, a few others will probably help out, and just getting my boss damage up overall with links and familiars would be really good too.
The BAs I have for DualBlade, yeah, I have a 20.5k stat here that got 2.1, and a 36.6 that had 5.1, but also a 44k that had, oh, that was with weapon jump, 44k stat that had 4.4. So I guess, I mean, putting those numbers together, you would hope maybe a bit on the high end. Wait, you were 34 buffed, right?
Yes.
What was my hero again? My hero goes up to 40, right? Yeah, no, that might be a bit high. I think you'd want to be approaching like 2.5.
Yeah, it felt really low, and I'm not sure why. Because everything else, like you said, there's no glaring holes.
Did you take a high defense dummy?
No, it was a straw one.
What level did you make it?
230 or 235. One of those, I don't remember exactly.
I typically do level 230, yeah. I mean, the 5 levels shouldn't have made that big of a difference. Should have cut your damage almost in half.
And I've, like...
Have you talked to other DualBlades? Yeah, like the rotations,
yeah. Yeah, and aside from lag, my rotation was correct as far as I know.
Okay, well, it might be a combination of a bunch of stuff that's like invisible, right? So it could be that if you purely look at your stat as like the higher your stat goes, the better of a predictor it becomes, because hopefully you spend your money in an efficient manner, which means that when you get to a certain amount of stat, that means you've checked all the other boxes as well. So someone else could have like less stat, but could have way better potentials, could have gotten lucky there, could have an 8k Legion already set up, could have, you know, like all the other things that you don't have, and then as a result just be stronger, even though their stat is lower than you. So it is possible that even though you feel like your stat is something that when you look at the progression grid is like pretty far behind, that it's still proportionately your best attribute. It's still possible, and that as a result, but you said your V Matrix, but your skills are pretty high leveled, right?
Yeah, my Blade Tornado I left at 24, so it can just kind of organically hit 25 as I open nodes, which is kind of what I did with my last boost node too, because it is my least important one anyways, I felt.
Yeah, that's with Last Resort, by the way, right? Your BA?
Yeah, the V Matrix I have on is not the one I used for my BA. I would take off Rope Lift and Holy Symbol and change it out for Last Resort and the Goddess one.
Yeah.
But I don't know how much the Goddess one is actually affects it. Is it important?
It's just a bunch of stat, yeah. I mean, as long as you have Maple Warrior popped and then you pop that one, it like amplifies the effect, so you get a bunch more stat.
Okay, so that's the main. Yeah, so it just is like some more damage, but not as good as Last Resort or the Shadow Walker, right?
Yeah, and it's not a final damage type boost. No, it's just a bunch of extra luck.
Okay.
Attack 35. I mean, yeah, Last Resort level up lowers the cooldown, but that doesn't affect your BA.
The actual final damage I think goes up a little bit, like
Mm-hmm.
1% every few levels, and then the passive goes up for last resort.
Yep.
But I don't think it's worth like putting into before any of my actual class specific skills or anything.
Yeah, other classes who are more hardcore, burst specific, will do it. Will do that, but I mean, you're also pretty DPM-y because of your 5th job skills, right? And the lower cooldowns on there, so it's not as important.
A lot of people say that like DualBlade's battle analysis is generally kind of, dog doo-doo, since they are more of like a DPM class than a DP, like a short burst class, kind of like you said, but still feels really low, which is kind of almost baffling to me because I talked to multiple people and they like said what to do and everything. I follow it as close as I can, and it still seems to be almost half of what I would expect, kind of like you said.
Yeah. I don't know.
Maybe we can find an answer as we go through the rest of it, though.
Yeah. Jafar does 2.5 or 35. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that DualBlade's BA is like low or anything. It's probably like upper 5% of all the classes in the game. That doesn't mean that like comparatively they're even more valuable as a DPM than as a DPS, but I would say far from. Well, it's mainly because of Last Resort, right? Shadow Walker, Last Resort, and Final Cut, like all of that extra final damage together, that does throw your BA into overdrive for sure.
Yeah.
But your skill nodes and everything and your boost nodes are definitely at the level or even higher than most of my characters were when I arrived at your situation, because I would always kind of, divert my resources to multiple characters. So it'd be interesting to see if we can find what has got that riled up, because the Shadow Walker, what does that change when you...
It allows you to stay in Dark Sight, and it increases the final damage you get from the advanced Dark Sight. So it gives you about as much final damage as Last Resort, kind of.
And does that go up a lot?
I think it's like the cooldown goes up or down.
Yeah, cooldown goes down to 190, and the final damage goes up a little bit. Yeah, up to 16% when it's maxed.
Yeah, so I wasn't putting points in, or I wasn't crafting those nodes. I planned to do Blade Tornado first, which it's at the point where I am now going to do Blade Tempest, and then do my actual bursting skill, which I forget the name of, but it's the hold down skill.
Blade Tornado?
No, the
Oh, this one.
Oh, God.
No, that's Blade Tempest, right?
The one that's wait. Am I getting them? Blades of Destiny is what I meant. It was Blade Tempest is the one I plan to max third.
That's Blades of Destiny, yeah.
The two 10-ish second cooldown ones, Blade Tornado and Blades of Destiny, are a majority of my damage overall in the course of an entire boss fight. But if I want my BA to go up, I know I have to max out Blade Tempest.
Yep. Yeah, that's more of endgame min maxing, though. That's usually what I do when you need to start padding your BA, or when your party needs to rely on you more for damage, right? But until then, it should already be very solid and be able to kill quickly. Yeah, because the one skill that you only have at level 1, I guess, would be the True Ragnar Reflection. But even that one, it just goes up a little bit in damage. I mean, a little bit, it doubles when it's maxed, of course, but. And that is a part of your BA, but that's a part of everyone's BA, and most people have it at a pretty low level where you're at, so that couldn't be a huge determining factor either. But so, we'll keep an eye on that, I guess, see where we can...
Question about the will skill, real quick.
Yeah?
Do you get notes for that from normal will or only hard will?
Only hard will.
And then the other question would be, is it worth putting EXP nodes into, or should I just focus on my other main skills first?
At the point where you're at right now, I feel pretty comfortable saying that you can put it into the will skill, yeah.
Okay, just because the other ones will level up pretty fast now that I'm just full focusing on them.
Exactly, yeah. And yeah, you can start like, you know, teetering off when they're like 23 or something. You move on to the next one because eventually you'll open some extra, so it'll max out over time. Yeah.
Yeah, and the last 1 or 2 levels isn't the biggest of deals for now. So.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, it kind of depends on which skill it is, but for you, no. Like for Arc, the last level is still very important for one of our skills because it still increases how many extra spell bullets you trigger when you get to level 30. So it is a pretty important one to get it all the way maxed. But yeah, for most classes, just, you know, dotting your I's, crossing your T's when it comes to damage percent. Yeah.
Cool. All right. I think aside from that, I have a decent grasp of what I want on the V Matrix. My only other question would be, generally speaking, in boss fights and everything, aside from the 2 we talked about, I take them, but rope lift I think is pretty important for my class in Lucid specifically.
Mm-hmm.
So should I try to just make do without rope lift so I can take the Maple Goddess blessing thing, or do you think the mobility is worth losing some damage in the burst, I guess?
Well, I would let that depend on how your party does. If your party gets into any kind of trouble or something, you can choose to, you can elect to take it. You do have the up arrow blade ascension that gives you more upwards mobility now, right?
Yeah.
I think it should
helps.
always, yeah, you always want to like throw out a few skills before you like go hide from the dragon, but you should always be able to make it to the top of the map even without rope lift if you have some kind of upward mobility. But rope lift does come in clutch quite a bit every now and then. So yeah, I don't think it's a bad thing to have to rely on that for something like a Lucid. I mean, you're 2 levels away from getting an extra slot anyway, right? And then you'll be able to
yeah,
equip
and then
it.
I can just keep all of them.
Yeah.
At what point do you put combat orders in as a dual blade? Do you even know? Is it important at all? I feel like it doesn't really do anything because it doesn't give you any boost to any of your passives or anything.
Does it not? What is the dual blade skills? Because the 4th job is all of the 4th job stuff gets an extra level, right?
Yeah, but you don't get any like final damage or crit damage or anything from it, as far as I know.
Oh yeah, how does your stuff? Was it Blade Master part? That's the one that gets level, right? Yeah. Because you don't have 1, 2, 3, 4. You've got like names for everything.
Oh yeah, you have like 6 jobs.
Yeah, I guess Phantom Blow base damage goes up a little bit. Don't know if Final Cut level up does anything. Does that give you more final damage?
You don't get more final damage. I think you get like 1 less second of cooldown or something.
Nice.
I could be wrong on that.
Only 89 instead of 90. Huge. 1% more stat on Maple Warrior. Maybe 1 attack on Thorns or something. I think. Do you get crit rate or crit damage of sharpness?
Not as far as I know, because I think it maxed at 10. Period. Like there's no level 11.
Katara Expert could maybe.
I remember trying to look it up, and I spent like a good 30 minutes researching every single skill to see if it would affect me, and it seemed to be very minimal.
Well, the best way to figure this out is by just equipping the skill and just popping it, and then looking at your skill window. That is the 1 minute solution.
I could have saved myself some time.
You could have saved yourself 29 minutes by by doing that. That's usually how I do it. I just pop the skill and see what levels up and what doesn't. And then, you know, you could see if something gives you like 21, and you'd be like, okay, that's probably giving me 1 extra, because I don't think it's supposed to end at 21, or if it gives me 31 or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it seems like it could give you some stuff, but it seems pretty min-maxy. Probably like, I don't know, like the 255 or maybe the 260 slot, somewhere around there.
Okay. And Venom Burst you never used, right? Like it's just...
I don't think so. I think Kadinas use it, and that's about... Yeah, I don't know if DualBlades use it. Yeah, because they scale off of like debuffs, so they throw it in there. I don't think DualBlades use it, no. From what I understand, it does almost nothing.
I just have it, and whenever I get them, I level it in case it gets some sort of buff or rework.
Yeah,
but
yeah, like you just hope for that, hope for
Yeah.
relevance on that. Yeah. Yeah, I guess you're throwing your
Okay.
bind depending on what you're doing, right?
Oh yeah, if I'm solo bossing, I'll take out the Goddess Blessing one for the bind, because
Mm-hmm.
it's the least impactful out of all the burst buffs.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Makes sense. Yeah, other than that, I don't think there's anything major to work. I mean, yeah, the last resort and the Shadow Walker will eventually, that will bump you some final damage for sure. But that could be part of it, but that shouldn't be enough to make like the whole to make the BA so much lower. But yeah, I guess we'll see if we can find other pieces of that puzzle.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else for the Matrix, or I guess for the Legion as well, because we kind of moved away from that. But any other questions for those two?
I guess just to reiterate on what I was asking, would oh god, Angelic Burster, yeah, would that be a good Terror Burn next, or should I guess, do just a more consistent Link skill, since I'm kind of a consistent DPS class anyways?
Well, so the thing will be is that if your party is going to move into normal will, as long as you guys have have you guys tried hard lucid already, or just doing normal lucid?
No, they're talking about all this stuff since we've been together for only like 2 weeks, as I said, and both clears. Like, we haven't ever failed. I don't think anybody's gone below 7 lives. I don't think anybody has really struggled, and we kill it in like 5 minutes. So I think they're all talking about
eager to
especially after
yeah.
5, 10, 15 just happened too. They're all talking about, okay, are we will ready? Will we be hard lucid ready soon? Those kind of things. Like I said, I'm just trying to keep up with these guys because I'm definitely a casual compared to all of them.
You get afraid that they're gonna like run past you.
I mean, I just want to be relevant. That's all.
Yeah.
I don't have to be the main carry. I just need to be not getting carried, and I'll be satisfied.
Well, I guess for lucid, what's your party composition?
Oh god, it's broken. That's all I know. It's like a Kana and a bunch of Adels and an Arc and me, I think.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Arc is Arc is mainly a DPS, but also a little bit of a buffer, and I guess Adels are a good combination of DPM and DPS as well. So you probably wouldn't have much trouble. The meta, yeah, that's like a meta party. Yeah, you wouldn't have too many trouble, like too much trouble, I guess, getting to phase 3 on lucid, as long as survivability for everyone is fine. So that does mean, because I think you have enough DPM going through. Probably might be a good idea to have the Adels just rotate between their skills rather than hold everything for burst, because you might run into getting too many Tohos, right? If you're always like sitting on all your buffs, waiting for the opportune moment, or waiting for the domain to use it, you definitely want to throw them all out at a 2-minute timer whenever you can, to make sure that you keep a regular influx of your cleanses. But as long as you don't have problems with cleansing and everything, the main obstacle is just going to be the burst in the last phase, and having the Angelic Buster Link skill for that is going to be very beneficial for you. So that seems like a solid thing, and I think they're also kind of for a lot of people not the most fun to get to 200. So you can skip past that part, but they seem to have a very solid 5th job, which would make them like a valuable side character for as like a bossing character. So I think it ticks all the bosses you want it to do. So I think that's a solid pick.
Okay, so that might even be the one I take to 220 instead of the Shade for that Absolute weapon, since I'm gonna take it to 210 regardless.
Yep.
So I think
yeah, that sounds like a good option. Yeah, and then the Abso weapon you can take on any character you want, so you could also take that on another character if you want.
Cool. Yeah, I probably will, since I won't be using the character after 220 most likely, aside from just regular bossing, weekly bossing rather.
Okay.
Cool. Let me see if I have any more questions around Legion. Quick. Oh yeah, just in general, which links should I be using, I guess, for bossing? I think I sent you my mobbing setup. Yeah. But
it's a little bit mixed now, right? It's a little bit of both.
Yeah, I think I generally aside from taking out the EXP ones, I would want to take out the Phantom one eventually and just push my Beast Tamer the last 10 levels to get it there. And then I would want the Kadena link, and I would make my Jet link actually do something at some point. But I'm not sure about the rest. Like, is the Kane link gonna be worth it? It seems kind of bad for a DPM class because you like build up stacks and then half the time it doesn't do anything, right?
Yeah, the stacks. Well, in a way, so if you, it's gonna stack automatically and it's gonna trigger automatically whenever it can, which means in a way that almost lends itself better for DPM than for DPS. Because if it like triggers right before you need it as a DPS, then it's a complete dead weight. But if you use it on a DPM, you're always going to be able to throw something out during it to empower that. That makes sense.
That makes sense. So since
it's very similar to your Thief link skill, basically. It's like it's like a double the length, double the cooldown version of your Thief link, essentially, if you max that one out.
Yeah. I think somebody in your chat also pointed out the alien thing. Is that actually going to be worth it? Because since I have to stand still while using my main burst, I would lose all my stacks.
Yeah, no, for mobbing, you use it. Well, because the main thing when you want the most damage is when you're bursting and the boss is bound, right? And that's when you as a class are not going to be moving, and that's when you're going to lose your stacks, and the whole benefit of the buff is going to be gone. There's only a few, like a handful of classes who use it when they're bossing, and that's like Dawn Warrior, because they have that combo thing that makes them like jump up and down and stuff.
Yeah, but Dawn Warrior was my old main, and that exact thing is why I quit him. Standing, jumping up and down. And, you're basically stunning yourself while you DPS.
Yep, a little bit. I think Gadenas use it because they have like the animations and stuff. There's a few other classes that rely on it, but for bossing, you tend to not rely on Tide of Battle now. The Cadena that you mentioned, that's a very good one. The Explorer Mage one, I don't think you mentioned that one. The combination of the IED and the damage there, plus the debuff that it lands, will help the Cadena uptime and will help the Thief uptime.
Well, I think we, as a DualBlade, always have a debuff on.
You do have debuffs, yeah, that's true.
But yeah, I was gonna do the Mage one because I just need to make a Bishop to 120 or I would make it to 140, but yeah, and that's the last piece because I tried also maining a Fire Poison Mage. I've tried maining a lot of classes, and then once I quit, I come back and make a new one, and that's why I say this is the first one I've actually committed to. I have commitment issues when it comes to my characters, and around level 205 is always when I seem to quit because I'm like, okay, these fit job skills are not as amazing as I wanted, and then. Yeah, then I quit the game, come back once I see some new update or a Deboki video comes out, and then and here I am again with a new character.
Now sticking to it a little bit longer, though.
Yeah, no, I'm not quitting this one, at least not in the foreseeable future, unless they take away Final Cut or something.
Yeah, that would be, that's quite pivotal to the character, yeah, that would be, or Dark Side or something.
Yeah, if they got rid of something that I enjoy about the character, I'd probably think about moving on again.
I guess we have 2 more link skills that we could optimize on. Like, if you have the Adele link skill and you were in a full party, that's also a really good one.
I do have that one.
But for solo, it's a little bit But for party bosses, it's a nice one. And then I guess, you were talking about the Jet one.
I see in your thing, people are asking like if this is mobbing or bossing because it has like random stuff in it. When I'm mobbing, as long as I have the 3 EXP ones, the rest doesn't really matter because you can one-shot pretty easily at this point in the game. At Moonbird, I think. So I only really change out those 3 when I'm mobbing, and then the rest is
and you have Soulless, Wild Rage, and Judgment, which is which are the biggest hitters for the flat damage in both situations anyway. So with those 6, that's like that's your starting team for sure.
Yeah, I know I need to move out of elementalism at some point, but I don't know what is the high priority. Oh, and hybrid logic. I don't know why it's in there because I think it's kind of not the best in any situation. But
for mobbing, I would throw it in because it's like extra flat damage. Make sure your base skill speed is higher. But yeah, the link skill is kind of like my blind spot, and I tend to forget one. But I guess so. In this setup, it'd be like well, the 3 mobbing ones obviously, and then hybrid logic, and then maybe elementalism would be like the 5 that we would switch out. So the 3 mobbing we would switch out for the Cadena, the Adele if you're partying, and then the Explorer Mage. And then we have the
Angelic Buster.
Yeah, we'd have the Angelic Buster that would probably switch out for hybrid logic, and then elementalism. Either you can kind of switch, but I've even tried on my main to see like if I use my Jet Link versus elementalism. Elementalism still outscales it by quite a bit. So it's more
really?
one than I use when I'm mobbing, that I use elementalism and I use it at the same time. Well, yeah, like on flat, but like when you're bossing, the calculation is different, right? So it's a little bit difficult to compare.
Boss damage, right? Okay,
Yeah, and I have a lot of that, so for me it's possible that it does outscale it for me, but it's kind of hard to like. I would have to throw it into a calculator and let the calculator like do the maths, because yeah, you kind of have to count like half efficiency for the percentage to compare it evenly, and yeah.
Do the stats from Jet Link get scaled up by percentage?
Yeah, they do.
Okay, so do you think then that it would probably be better, since also this is a very minor thing, but DualBlades also have 2 secondary stats, so that would even be a little bit more increase during bosses?
Yeah, that is possible. I would say though that like a good Jet Link, you'd have like the Hayato Link, and then have like hybrid logic, and then a good Jet Link, and then like the Cygnus and elementalism and the Pirate Link. Like all of those are probably in the realm of being so close to each other, doesn't matter all that much which one of those you use, except when you're mobbing you probably want to use almost all of them to get your baseline damage up a lot, and because then you get rid of like Fury Unleashed and Light Wash, you know, you get rid of those. Maybe even Focus Spirit, right, if you don't need the crit and the boss there. So then you can move those over for like the flat damage ones. But while you're bossing, if all the other ones are on point, whatever you use in that last slot, or even the Cane Link, right, whichever one you use there, I think would make everything so similar that it's not too troubling to like try to break your head over that. That's like something for much later, you know, if you want to just min-max to get the best BA you can, you throw it all into a calculator and let the maths, you know, let the computer do the work for you.
Yeah, fair enough. I just realized this is off topic a bit, but while looking at the link skills, that Judgment still says min crit instead of just crit damage. It's kind of
it does.
like if you look at the picture itself, it says as the
min. Yeah. Yeah, it does.
That, I guess.
If you hover over the Noble Fire or the Jet Link, it doesn't even show you the numbers at all. It just
forgotten about Jet class.
And the Pirate
Noble
Link
Fire,
for the because it's so new and it's still broken. And like the Pirate Link goes up to 3 sometimes. You know, it's interesting. Oh well, just MapleStory things.
Yeah. I think that's it for link skills.
Okay.
I'm pretty excited to like see how much the BA goes up having proper link skills in, and just all that. And I'm pretty sure if I make those few links, I'll be past 5k at that point. So it'll be hopefully just some instant gains off just a couple of characters.
Yeah, it's a combination of things, right? Like if Fury Unleashed goes to 3, that's an extra 10%. Wild Rage could be another 5%. Solus can give you another 5% as well. So just between those 3 already, that's 20% damage possible.
Yeah, I have my arc ready. I've been throwing my like Master Craftsman's and Meister Cubes on him just to get a decent base so he can clear from 200 to 210 in a breeze. Because he has pretty good damage anyways, it seems. So I just wanted him to be seamless. And then I'm probably, for my Mercedes Link or my Beast Tamer, since both of them are really undergeared, just going to use the free level potions from the Crystal Challenge on them. I don't think 1 free level on my DualBlade is worth 10 levels on a character.
Yeah,
I
no.
don't like playing.
You know, and that's from someone who's mained both DA and Arc in previous life. But I think at current stage, a lot of people have said that the DA to level 210 is a lot harder than getting the Arc there.
Yeah.
So that could also be an option to get that level 3 link, because that's like a standard 5 that's always there, and the other one is still a conditional 5. You want both eventually, but if you have to level 1 and you can boost another one, then I'd choose to boost the DA and level the arc versus the opposite.
True. I think even though Demon Avenger is not in the best state ever, I still think it's more fun than Mercedes. I don't like Mercedes training.
Yeah.
It's not my thing at all. It's the exact opposite of a DualBlade, where you just like you have to be constantly doing combos and stuff. In a DualBlade, you just stand still and press 2 buttons over and over.
Yeah, where you could jump and attack.
Well,
and
yeah,
you
jump,
keep moving in the same
direction.
direction. You don't like, yeah, gravity doesn't shift the other way around, or yeah.
Yeah, so
very different.
I might do the Mercedes first, but if there's another event where I can freely level my DA from 200 to 210, I'll do that too, because I know their damage is not amazing, and
yeah, the hitboxes for the mobbing skills just don't make sense in the current game.
Well, yeah, when you're using a 3rd job skill, I guess it's not very
Yeah, I trained on a 2nd job skill all the way until 250, so.
And that was like before Arcane River, right?
That was in Arcane River, but like in Arcana, just like dashing through the map and like throwing out the shields and just dash, and then.
Oh, but there was no cooldown on the shields, right? So you could just.
Well, there's cooldown on the shields, like 6 seconds. So you throw them out but there's no cooldown on the dash, so you just keep zooming, I guess. You just keep zooming through the map and try to keep frenzy on. And
they nerfed their shields a long time ago, and that was
the shields is probably the skill in the game that has changed the most. I think we had like 8 or 9 iterations of how the shields worked exactly. That kept fidgeting with it, because it is a very strong part of our kit, but they didn't want to make it super overpowered. But there was a time, yeah, where you could lower the cooldown down to 1 second and give yourself cooldown skip, or you could basically just hold it down and get like 600 shields around. But there was also the time where if the boss ever disappeared, or there was no target in the map, they would all instantly disappear and you'd have to start back from 0.
But that was also the time where Kish was insanely good, and there was probably always a target for them.
Yeah, I'm talking more for bossing, because like a lot of people were using it to, because you get all the lifesteal from them as well, right? People just hold them down and just tank everything in bosses, because you just instantly get all your lifesteal back, and the Nether Shields don't build up your stacks of Exceed, which lowers your lifesteal, so you could just keep spamming it over and over and over. You never have to overload release to cleanse those stacks either. So that was like, really no brain. But then, yeah,
it would just disappear or something. A boss that's AFK most of the time.
Yeah, but as soon as the boss would like go to a different stage or something, all the shields disappear and you have to start again from scratch. But yeah, they they nerfed that quite a bit. I think it was because of the class that they changed how cooldown hats work.
Yeah, it sure would be a shame if Demon Avengers had a good skill.
Yeah, it reminds me of when they redid the Royal Guard for Mihal, but then they also nerfed like the passive buff that it gave. It was like, God forbid that Mihal gets 20 weapon attack extra or something, like that would break the class or something.
Yeah, why would you want bottom tier classes to have good skills?
It's just, yeah, you can have the opportunity to make them a bit more competitive, but then no, you gotta keep them down.
Oh
well. Okay, Legion, Lynx, Matrix, Familiars. You have any questions there?
So yes, first one, I'm sure you saw it. I think I put them at the very bottom, but do those like auto steal ones, do they actually make a difference? Because those were like the first 2 uniques I had were both auto steal, and I was like, wait, that ain't boss damage, and I just kept them. But I don't know, are they worth it while grinding? I heard they are, but I didn't see an increase in rates when I used them necessarily, or at least not a noticeable one, because I don't do like BAs while grinding. I just kind of look at my inventory.
It's like rounding. It's basically rounding error levels of gains. They do something. Like if you're done with your familiars and you would train, you would have like a large drop rate and then 2 of the auto steals that train basically. If you're at a higher level area, you'd probably rather still get like percentage attack familiars to, you know, if you're in in
new places.
Yeah, the Cernium or Burning Cernium or Hotel Arcus or something. Yeah, you need all of the damage you can get. You probably want to get percentage attack anyway. But autosteal, yeah, it's, I forget the exact maths, but it depends. People had some that it was like 0.5% of extra meso per 1% or autosteal or something. It's a little bit more complicated than that. Don't know what the exact number is, but you do get some extra. But it is, yeah, it could be less than the difference just between 2 sessions over an hour or over 2 hours, just because of different rotations or because of an elite boss or something that could already make a bigger difference. So, yeah, it's like min-max and endgame, but
so minimal that I shouldn't bother until I don't need to level up other familiars in training.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, the 11 defense could be nice to make sure that you don't lose your fullness or your experience bar, right? As quickly your and your energy bar for the familiars. Summon gauge, there it is. But yeah, for its efficiency, it's not that great now. Yeah, especially not in the later areas where you're going more for fewer amount of monsters to kill with way more experience. Because then it's going to be even less of a nominal difference. You're looking at like 20 mil difference per hour or something.
Okay.
At most, yeah.
Yeah. So, another question about familiars is, I did not really farm a ton, but before they came out, I'm sure you noticed my like junior boogie. That was from the 100 I farmed and then fused them together. I didn't realize that I would need like 10,000 to make a.
Yeah.
So yeah, I only farmed I think 100 or 150, and I thought for sure that's good enough. I was definitely not correct. So I'm chilling at Moonbridge, and is it better to just stay at epic or push the epic ones to unique? Because I know if you stay at epic, you can make twice as many, but obviously, for the end game, you want all unique ones ideally, right?
Yeah, I think you can even make more than twice as many because the chance for failing to unique is quite a bit higher, so you end up a lot of times you just lose out. I think that totally depends, I think, on how much you train. If you find just in the beginning you just want to make a bunch of epics, but if you get to the point where you really start scaling up how much you train and how many familiars you get, eventually you'll just want to go to unique so you can get rid of your cards, because your inventory is just going to fill up with thousands of cards, and then you just make a unique. And a unique is also very good because the second roll on the unique line is still an epic line, so you still have a chance of getting an epic there and a chance of getting a unique line, right? So even though there's more variance on the unique line, there's the epic line and the unique line combined, which I think does make it worth. But it's mainly worth if you just have so many cards that you don't know what to do with them, because then you can just blow through a few hundred cards just to make one unique. But I would let it depend on influx of cards. If you're kind of limited on your cards, I would focus on epics at first.
Okay. Yeah, the junior boogie I have that has the 6% auto steal had boss damage on it as an epic, and I leveled it up not knowing that would make you go away, because I did not do my research first. Let's just say that.
That's unfortunate. Yeah, it's like a tear up on a cube. Yeah, it just completely re-rolls it.
Yeah. For whatever reason, I thought it was like just tiered up with the same stats, even though that's not how any of the systems in this game work. So lost that one, but I don't think missing out on some boss damage now is that important, since I'm already in Moonbridge and I can pretty efficiently farm them, because I farm with I think 120% drop, so I get an okay amount of familiars.
Yep. And a spider, right? That's like equivalent to 60.
Yeah. I was going to ask about that, actually. Is the spider worth it, or is it better to throw on a drop coupon? Because
so the meso, the drop coupons from the Legion is 100%. Sorry, from the Legion is 50%, and then those blue drop coupons would be 100%.
Okay. What about Winters? Because I still have those from when I first played Reboot.
Yeah, people are not 100%, because you would have to data mine those to know what the exact number is, because it just says like
drop rate
increases the drop rate. I am of the firm belief that the Winters give you 50% extra.
That's what I thought too.
Because I did a lot of testing, and it seemed worse than the spider to me. But the spider does stack with the Legion drop rate if you want to. So that's 60 and 50 to 110 total. So that would be better than a blue.
Wait, it does, because it always says that they don't stack if I try to use a Legion coupon after already having my spider out. It says, are you sure you want to use this? It doesn't stack with your familiar or whatever.
The green one?
Yeah, the drop rate one. I swear I get that error, or that like warning message, unless I'm just thinking of something else. But generally I use Legion coupons because
If you use the blue one, then it should give you the message, like the blue drop coupons. That should give the message with the either with the Legion coupon or with the familiar. But the familiar and the Legion coupon should stack together. At least that always works for me.
The blue ones, you mean like the MVP ones?
Just there's like drop coupons that just have like drop written on them, and they're like blue icons in your inventory. Those come from like compensation and from Bebe boxes and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. The ones with the maple leaf on it.
Yeah, they say like they double the drop or they give you 100% or whatever those. Those don't stack with the other two sources, but the other two should stack with each other. Yeah.
Okay, so I should always be using Legion and my Spider together until I get a better drop familiar, that is.
Yeah, in your current situation, I would do that, yeah. For more droplets, more nodes, more familiars, as long as you have the Legion coins to be able to back that up, yeah. And I think, since you said you don't train all that much, I think you should have pretty much full coverage for being able to do that, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. I did not know that. I thought it gave me an error message. I guess I'm thinking of something else.
Yeah, well, let me know, like, should be like a Discord message or something if that happens, but it shouldn't, like, it never did for me.
Okay, maybe I'm just...
yeah, maybe a different situation that you're confusing it with. Yeah.
Yeah. In terms of familiars, that's, I guess, the last one. My last question. The only other question, actually, that I just thought of is, do I need the Mesodrop? Because if you have a certain amount of drop rate, you get a Meso bag every time, right? So just item drop rate would be better?
Yeah, large increases item drop rate by a large amount would be like the holy grail of drop rate familiars, yeah.
And that's only on Epic and above, right?
Yeah, Epic and Unique are the only ones who can get that. So Mesodrop, you don't get more bags from item drop rate on familiars. You do need Mesodrop rate for that, but regular item drop rate from all other sources than familiars does give you bag drop rate. And you need 67% total to get a 100% chance to get a bag. So between decent holy symbol and your drop rate gear, you have more than enough. So the Mesodrop on familiars is no longer necessary.
Okay. And then I thought of one other one. For familiars, do similar lines stack? If so, like, if it says large healing and small healing, would that stack?
The rule of thumb there is that if you summon a familiar and its buff shows up on the top right, then similar buffs do not stack with it. If they are just passively happening in the background and they don't show up on your screen, then they do stack with each other.
Okay.
So healing things, all of that shit stacks with each other. When it comes to drop and meso drop and all of that stuff, there are limitations because they don't want you to run around with like 600% drop rate or some weird shit. But the healing, apparently they don't care, so you could take 3 familiars and both have like 2 lines of healing on them, and you could just be like a resurrection machine as a support. That's on some bosses that's heavily advised to just go full double healing.
Yeah, I know. Healing familiars can be very useful later on. Alright, that is actually the last familiar question now.
Yep. But yeah, the main thing you're looking for is just basically boss lines, right?
Yeah,
it's like...
boss lines. IED, I have 3 15%. I only linked one because they're all basically the same thing.
Yeah.
But I just have them because they're better than nothing in a boss fight.
Yep.
But I don't think my class needs much IED because how much functional base IED you get just from all your every single skill you use has bonus IED. Some have 100%. So
and you have movement still in link skills and possibly in your Legion grid. So there's more IED that can come from that as well. And I think it's fine to move some IED away in favor of some healing, especially if you're going to start doing will in the beginning. Survivability there is very limited in phase 2, so any kind of healing, if everyone uses at least 1 healing familiar and then the people who can spare it use 2, that'll definitely help you get through the will boss fight a lot faster.
Yeah, and I just realized my Legion picture didn't come through. So my Legion grid, by the way, it fills out the crit damage, the IED, and pretty much the boss damage. It's missing like 2 squares for boss damage.
Okay, and that's on 4.5k.
Yeah, so it doesn't have the full. It's missing 2 lines?
Yeah, 2 lines on the outside. Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's 19%.
That's what it looks like.
It's missing 19%, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know where my picture went, so my bad.
Yeah, some of them like slip through the cracks. When you're uploading this many, it's
Yeah.
It's a miracle
My
that
bad.
not more has slipped through the cracks. Okay, so is there anything else non-purely equipment that you have questions about?
Yes. So, just overall like account questions, I have a few.
Mm-hmm.
First one, is there a reason to be doing hard Lomian parties aside from just practice of harder bosses and potential pitched boss equips? Because I don't really get the point of those since you don't get anything useful past Absolab from them, you know?
So yeah, that's a very like personal thing. I think there's very little to it. It's like a Hail Mary for pitched boss, and that's pretty much it. Some people like to do them, and then once people get better and stronger, break up the parties and then carry each other's mules to get Abzo on all their characters. That could be an added value for general account progression, right? The same way that people will do it for CRA, just carry other people's CRA mules and just get CRA on all the characters, and that'll, you know, if they want to jumpstart a new character, basically. And in the same way, they'll kind of look at Abzo, or you'll see it as a value for your guild or something. If the guild runs and you need to, you know, if there's a guild run and needs someone to fill in that you're more experienced with the boss fight and you can help with the run or something like that. But it's mostly for people who want to work towards the pitch boss set. That's the main thing, because you lose value even, right? If you just solo normal, you get way more value from the crystal, and the soul shards are exceedingly rare anyway. You're most likely going to end up with like a Magnificent Queen or Vellum anyway because of the weeklies and because of the daily access, or maybe a Magnus, and those are on the same tier, so it's pretty min-maxy.
Gotcha. Okay, so short answer would be not really.
Yeah, well, for your situation, that could be your conclusion, yeah. Someone else could hear the same information that I just said and be like, oh, so it's 100% worth because I need that eye patch, right? So depending on your filter, then...
Need the eye patch.
Yeah, some people just really want, you know, that's like a status symbol. Like they want that as part of, they want to go for that whole set. Like they want a book, they want an eye patch. And if you really want that combination of equips, you have to start doing it as soon as possible to give yourself as many chances as possible, because the odds are not in your favor, like at all. I've been running for quite a while. Haven't seen any drop yet. I got a damaged heart so far, so that's...
Wow, that's the best one right there.
Yeah. I mean, that is decent, but that's like min-maxing your damage on Black Mage or something, so, you know, it's not really the prime drop you're looking for.
I feel if people just, they want to dedicate their whole life to the pitch boss set, they should just go play on a regular server and they can...
Seems more reasonable in terms of access, yeah.
Okay, so at what point should I start doing Tower Vase in hopes for like a burst ring?
I would say once you feel that every single update that you want to make or need to make to get stronger is very heavily time-gated in terms of backups, or you just need to wait until there's an event so you can throw all your money at it, and you don't really have anything else to do in the meantime, you don't feel like grinding, you can fill that time with Oz. So it's probably once you're like 2.5 line... Yeah, well, I'll like scroll through all the equips in a second, look at everything. But it's also mainly for burst classes. I think there are some kind of DPM-y rings, but most of them are pretty DPS-y rings to get the burst stronger. So it'll be either your role in the boss fight is to do burst and you need to always burst, or you know, you're playing the boss in a way where you're just playing burst meta. You're just, you know, doing Varus Hilla, where it's just like, oh, burst, and then for the rest of the time you're just kind of hopping around surviving, and then you go back into the burst. Because a DPM class would disproportionately suffer because you're losing a lot of your damage output potential, because you're not really able to commit any of the damage that you are very good at committing. So you have to overcommit into the burst realm, and then an Ozring would do very well. But for example, for my arc, I don't have Ozrings yet, but I'm doing Varus Hilla and Hard Dark now kills Gloom. I'm doing those bosses now as a burst class, but I don't have the Ozrings yet. But I'm probably in a situation where I should probably have some Ozrings. Efficiency-wise, an Ozring would increase my damage by way more than anything else I could do at this point. But yeah, I think that's mostly when your stuff hits like 20 stars or higher, and everything, like your WSE is probably somewhat finished, or like 2.5 lines going towards 3, and everything else is at least 2.5 lines, or your piece is already going towards 3 lines for stat.
Yeah.
That's when.
And didn't they say they were trying to make them easier to obtain later on as well?
Yeah, make sure that when you open up boxes, you don't get stats for different classes that you just that are not for you, basically.
Yeah. Well, that's a nice quality of life thing, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
for people who are hunting for their Ring of Restraint.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so last of the non-gear questions is... Oh, actually, real quick, before I forget, when is the droplet exchange happening? Because after buying droplets from the shop and the Neocore ones, I would have very close to enough of the Arcane River ones to get the weapon, but I would need about 7 more, I think. And should I farm those or wait till the exchange? Is the exchange in 6 months or in, a couple of months? I guess. I don't need like an exact date.
I think they mentioned that they want to release it sooner than the regular, because I think we were expecting it around September update, but I think they're trying to throw it into the July update in 2-3 weeks, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Then I don't have to go back and try to farm the last few of those, because I don't want to go back to Arcana ever.
Yeah, well, that's the thing kind of where I am feeling more comfortable as well, just moving towards Cernium and stuff, because you saw the new winter update has 900 droplets in it.
Yeah, that's when I plan to go for 5-set Arcane, would be around that time.
So as long as you just have enough money, you can, you just power your way through it.
Yeah, so a question in regards to Arcane set. If I were to go for just the weapon for now until I have enough droplets roughly around winter, would it be better to try to make an Apso hat, or could I get by with the CRA hat for now so I don't have to go through flaming and cubing and star forcing a new hat to make it as good as my current one? Because my current one is, like, I think pretty good for now.
Is there a question of, when it comes to hats, if the cooldown reduction is better specifically for mobbing or bossing, or is it just pretty much better everywhere?
It's better for everything. I saw people saying like a 30% luck hat versus a 4-second cooldown hat is a difference of like 30% final damage going in positive for the cooldown reduction in the terms of like a BA or something. I don't know how true that is because I can't test it myself, but I just know that it's supposed to be just the bee's knees.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so the main thing would be losing the 30% boss damage, right?
Yeah, but is 30% boss damage worth having like a brand new hat?
Yeah.
Where I would have to redo everything?
Yeah, it's a good question. I'd say probably not that much, because when you go 5-set, you go right back to CRA hat anyway. And the weapon would make you enough stronger to compensate for the 30% boss damage and then some, so it'll still be an upgrade. And then it'll just feel like an even bigger upgrade when you switch into the arcane stuff, so I would probably just stick to the hat.
Okay.
I think that's...
Good. That's the answer I wanted to hear.
Yeah. I had a feeling. Yeah, it says here, in this memo, it says they're considering to implement it in July, and they'll confirm it in the patch notes. So it's not 100% confirmed yet, but it is one of the things, the Droplet Exchange is one of the things that they are planning to throw in with the July update.
Cool.
And they say improvements in acquisition of cubes and flames. I think that means removing them from bosses, but...
Yeah, I heard they want to move them to like elite bosses and just training, right?
Yeah.
Which kind
Star
of
Force,
not good for somebody who doesn't train very often like me.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Yeah, I know another guy who does a lot of bosses and not very much training.
Yeah.
I heard he's not super happy about it either, but yeah.
Yeah. I think that's part of the reason I wanted to do this session is because I feel like you made it here to the point you're at in a similar way that I wanted to approach the game, just where like I don't enjoy the Kana. I don't know if you even I know you used to not have a Kana farmer. I don't know if you do now or anything, but it's just not my favorite playstyle, as well as I enjoy playing this class, you know. I know it's not as efficient, but it's more fun. So
if it's more fun, then in the long term it's more efficient. I believe that very strongly.
Yeah,
because if you stop having fun, you stop investing time, and then you don't get there.
That kind of mentality is exactly, you know, the one I kind of approach the game with as well.
Mhm.
And I like for sure want to play my DualBlade as it funds itself, as well as just like
The
you know.
EXP, dude. You get the
Yeah,
EXP when
exactly.
you're it's just the kind of farmer is all well and good, and I definitely understand people who need the flexibility, right? Who don't have the totem time. Like you have the total amount of time available, but just never in those large chunks. Then I totally understand that you still want to progress and get that kind of. I don't have a kind of farmer yet, but I don't even have the time. I barely have the time to do all the things I want to do. So if I threw that on there as well, that'd be like another weight on me. Like, oh, I have to. You know, I have that character, I have all that money invested into it, so that I should play it every now and then to make sure that I recuperate some of that investment. But yeah, that would just put more pressure on me. So until I organize all my shit better, I just don't have the time for that.
Yeah. Let me see if I have any other non-gear related ones real quick. Oh yes, last one I believe is does group drop rate matter, or is it solo drop rate when like whoever hits the boss last? Because I've heard two different things in the past, and
Yeah, you know what? I'm not 100% on that. I always assumed that if the item is instanced, that your personal drop rate is what determines it, and if the item is shared, that whoever does the last hit determines the drop rate. That's how I.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So I'm just going to.
Yeah, but that's
imagine
dangerous because
how,
making sense in Nexon is it's a dangerous cocktail. So that's how I always understood it to work, but it could just as well, because like the other, when people tested that apparently item drop rate does not increase the meso bag drop rate on familiars. Like that's also something that I understood wrong for a while and have like been spreading wrong information about, apparently, because I thought that would make sense because that's how all the item drop rate works, but apparently it doesn't. So you know, it could just as easily be wrong, so I don't feel super confident about that one.
Okay,
but you know,
well,
when in doubt, equip all
yeah.
drop rate. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean that's what everyone seems to do anyways.
Yeah,
But
yeah, just to be sure.
Gotta love how Nexon has not answered that question for us yet.
I wonder if they know, dude. I mean, they only recently found out that the potentials were actually rigged. I fully believe that they just didn't know that was a thing.
They probably don't know the answer to the drop rate either. So,
yeah.
Okay. And let me see, do I have any other non-ones? Yeah, I think that was it for like just overall questions that aren't gear specific.
Okay. So equip-wise, you know the general priority of which items to upgrade first?
Well, I would hope it's permanent items and WSE, because, well, they're permanent, so. Aside from potentially getting the arcane weapon, which is why my current weapon is a little bit on the roll side, like we talked about.
Yep. And then it goes by backups, basically, right? Backups and events determine where you emphasize your money and where you take more risk, basically.
Yeah. So I did make a new secondary because mine was not
not transposed.
Yeah.
Right.
So I made one and got it to 21 stars. I don't have enough money to cube it yet.
Right.
But when should I try to make that switch? Like, how much money should I expect to sink into it to get a half decent line? Like, let's just say, 3 relevant lines.
3 relevant.
I put it in a cube calculator.
Yeah.
Since I know that's generally where you would probably direct a question like that. And by relevant lines, I mean like attack or boss, because I know IED for my class is a bit of an inting line. Like, you definitely don't need that on your WSE. I think the best is actually just 9 lines of attack for my class, but I could be wrong on that, and I know changes to damage once they do the final damage thing could make boss just as good, if not better. So I would definitely be okay with, lines of boss, and I'm just wondering, like, how much money do you think I should really save up to try to get it to be good?
Yeah, you want it to be like worthy of the 21 stars is kind of what it sounding like, right?
Yeah, I just wanted to be able to like beat out my current one, which is also a placeholder one. As soon as, because I made a secondary and I got it to legendary, started and all that, and then I found out you were supposed to transpose, so I just stopped putting any money into it after I got.
That's a perfectly normal transition, by the way. Like that you you work on your first one, you get it to 17, you're unique if you get lucky on the lines, or you get it to legendary, and then later on you work on like transposing if you're going past 17 anyway. That's a pretty normal transition. Like, you don't have to feel bad or that it was very inefficient or anything like that. That's
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty standard.
All right. Good. I don't have to cry over that.
Yeah, no, don't worry. I think if you get just one line of 13% attack on legendary, there's a good chance that it already overpowers your current one, because it's only 1 mil range decrease now, right? And it only has a 10% luck line.
Yeah, I mean, I just been throwing Meister Cubes on it to try to get it to legendary. And
I think just one line of attack might already overpower it. I would probably aim for just 2 useful lines at first. And probably, because I'm assuming that you went hard on that one because you had a lot of backups, right? Low risk.
Yeah, I dropped a bunch of them now to empty out my inventory, but I didn't boom my transposed one a single time.
Okay, and nice. That saves a lot of money.
Yeah, but the other one to 17, I think I boomed like 10 times.
Right. Yeah. Well, it was just just karma coming back to
I think
make
it
up
was
for
the game telling me to stop and go to my transposed one.
It's like what was it, like Michael Jordan, like, stop, get some help.
Yeah, yeah, because it boomed from 12 to 13 3 times in a row. So
yeah.
that was,
lovely. Yeah. Oh, my record is 2 in a row. Damn. Yeah, you beat my record. Yeah.
Yeah. That was impressive. That was the day I
0.6%.
Star forcing.
Yeah, that would take the wind out of your sails a little bit.
Yeah, and then my all my 21 gear, which is only my CRA stuff, that is, well, actually one of them sadly boomed from 20 to 21, so it's 17 again. I don't know which piece it is. I think it's my chest piece or something.
Yeah, top piece. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, those ones all went first try on this last 5, 10, 15. So.
Very nice. Now you just wish you stopped at 20 on the top.
Not really, because I felt like I need to get brought back down to earth a little bit on that day.
Okay.
Getting a little too lucky. I would have expected the same thing on the next 5, 10, 15 if I got 4 21s and less than 10 bill.
Yeah.
That would be unfair to my next time's expectations, I think.
Yeah, for sure. It would inflate that luck ego a little bit.
Yeah. But aside from that, I also want to know, since Arcanes are in the near future of, beginning of next year probably, I was wondering, should I go hard on my WSE since the rest will get replaced, or should I just save up money until then, since my income is only probably on average like 3 bill a week, due to like one totem, weekly bosses, and then Ursus and whatnot, So it probably averages out to about, I want to say 3 bill a week, which means given that time frame, I would only have enough for the droplets if I didn't, spend it all right now.
Yeah.
So should I, save up for the droplets? I don't need to buy all of them, I don't think, because I already have an okay foundation of about 200, and I can get the other. I haven't bought any for this event yet or anything.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. So you can buy as many as needed.
Yeah.
And then sit on your money for until winter, and then go ham.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, should I just save up money and then evaluate my situation after buying the droplets I need, or should I go hard on my WSC sometime soon, since those are permanent minus the weapon, of course?
Yeah, so I think if you want to go harder on your emblem, and you basically the only thing you would need is like you would go for like 24% attack or 30 or
21 and 1 damage.
Yeah, or 21 and a line of damage. Yeah.
Grades, yeah, and that.
Those are so few outs that and the damage one wouldn't be enough of a like damage increase, I think, to be worthy of all the money you would spend. I think if you were planning on like going on hard on the emblem, I would set aside at least like 30 bill for that. On like just like mass red cube to
save up for that arcane stuff most likely then, because I'm gonna need those droplets that are gonna cost me like 30. That 30 bill would go towards a full set of arcane.
And like a good flame.
Those would all need to be upgraded eventually, but I need to buy all those droplets is so expensive already.
Yeah, and like a good flame on your weapon that could gain like besides like a tier 6 attack, but also some damage and some boss damage. That like bonus stat in the flame would be like better than the extra line on your emblem.
True. Yes. Because wait,
tier 5 is 10%, and then 9% would be on your emblem, right?
Flame stats get boosted by percent stats, right?
If you get like if you get weapon attack or you get stat,
Or okay. I always assumed so because that's why flaming is very important, but I never actually bothered to look it up.
Yeah, it does add up a lot if you all your characters.
Yeah. So is there a reason to flame any of my gear currently? Because that's something I always kind of wanted or didn't know if it was necessary to go further on, because the flames all seem pretty decent. They're all flames that I got from compensation. I only had like, I think 300 points or whatever, so I just bought a bunch of reds with them.
Right.
And just went ham on all my gear, just looked for like a little bit of, or some like okay enough flames, especially on the Absol lab gear, because I wasn't planning on staying in Absol forever. So,
You're familiar with you're familiar with the flame scores and everything?
Yeah, I was looking for over 100 on basically all my stuff, which some of them are maybe a little bit slightly short of, but they're all about 100. Some are a little bit better. But generally speaking, I think my Absol lab is bad. It's like all barely 100 or just under.
Cape is quite a bit over, so...
I don't even know what my flames are on any of my gear, but I know my CRA stuff is decently flamed for now.
Right, Cape is 74 and 5 with 35 dex and 15 strength. And Allstat also scales better for you because you're a DualBlade, so you can...
I count Allstat almost as 10 because that's the like end game count for it as a second one. I know for now, the way I am, it's probably like 9 to 9.5. But...
Yeah, I don't know the exact numbers. I know some end game DualBlades can almost count it for 12, I believe.
Oh, that's...
if they have like everything maxed out.
Yeah.
And that's mainly because of how... just because of how much extra stat flames have added, that you can go like pretty crazy with that. It's not quite Xenon levels where it's like 22 or 23 or something.
Yeah.
But they need higher values as well. They're like it represents more stat, but their average flame score can be way higher.
Right?
Yeah, but that's taken into account the lower stat already, and their flame score is still like that high.
Yeah,
like for transposing a Dominator, they're looking for like 240 or something scored to like optimize. Yeah, but they have to because that's what they rely on to get their damage done. You know, it's kind of like looking at the range for a hero. It's not really a fair comparison because they have all that final damage, but they do need all that damage to put out that damage. So.
Yeah, it sounds terrible being a Xenon, to be honest. I feel like you're looking for such specific things. You're like a Demon Avenger at that point. You're just only looking for one thing.
Yep.
But, yeah, it is really nice to know that if you roll all stat on a potential line, it's still pretty good. You don't feel bad about it at all as a DualBlade.
Yeah, I think someone in chat had he had a potential badge with, and I think it was a 27% all stat, and it's pretty much the same as a 33% luck. It's like...
Oh yeah, I saw it right at the beginning of your stream, right?
Exactly, yeah. It's like 0.003% final damage difference or something. So that's how good Allstat is if you have multiple secondary stats. I think your flames, I think overall are fine. The main thing is what you want to do is just go ham on your weapon when you get it, because that's... You know about flame score, right? You know about the 3 and the 4 to 3, like the multiplier on attack. Just getting the attack plus the damage on your weapon is going to be such a huge boost that's going to be more important than pretty much anything else you could be working on. Though I think, wait, did I skip over it, or did you not have your cup in here? Because that is a flame advantage item.
That was the other thing that didn't make it. Mine is like 90 flame score or something, nothing amazing. I throw flames on extra cups, the ones I get from other stuff, because I feel like it's the biggest room for improvement on a permanent piece of gear, I guess. Because I'm sure I can get much better flames on a lot of my gear, but a lot of it will be replaced. Like, basically everything but my CRA and my non-flame advantaged gear will get replaced eventually.
Yeah, I would say like the Probably the biggest room for improvement at this point is probably like but the weapon is going to take over like your flames for quite a while. But or at least your budget for flames. But probably like the belt and the tattoo and then the monocle are probably like the next things.
So you think
to
going
flame.
for the non-flame advantage gear is that it's actually time to do those now that my other stuff is okay enough?
Yeah, and the great thing about that is also that if you can just use your single flames, because if you completely fuck up the flame that's on there, nobody cares.
Doesn't
Like
matter
you're losing
much,
20 luck, like that's not gonna matter at all. So that's pretty safe to flame as well. But I would just do that with like the side flames you get from bossing. I would never really throw any directed money at it, because all of the money you want to have that all saved up as much as possible for when the arcanes come, because that's where the flames really start to matter.
Yeah. So once I get like a decent, maybe 100+ flame score on my cup, I can move on to just doing all my non-flame advantage stuff.
Yeah. Pretty
Okay.
much, yeah.
Sounds good to me. Well, until I get the weapon, then that's gonna every single flame I get until I get something good.
Yeah, exactly.
But, okay, sweet. I like to hear that, because that means I don't need to worry about some gear for now.
I think your potentials are also like fine. I would definitely work on the potential of your secondary, right? That's probably the first. That's by far the first thing, and then your weapon would be the next thing to work on. I probably focus on just getting 2 lines of attack. If you
should I do my weapon or just wait till the arcane one though?
Oh no, I mean the arcane weapon, yeah, for sure.
Okay, I was like,
yeah, not the current one. Yeah, no, I wouldn't touch the current one at all. No, I was already ahead.
Okay, yeah.
I thought we already clarified that enough. Yeah, no, that's definitely a good move to not go harder on this. Yeah, because the next thing like to work on potential wise would probably be so after those 2 things, what was the eye face again?
Well, the eye and face are like kind of feel weird to work on, since the you're waiting for that elusive drop anyways. So I don't know how much I should invest potential wise into those, since they're like okay, I guess. They get by. They're better than my drop rate gear, which is, fine, even though my drop rate gear has 2 lines. Well, both of them have 2 lines of luck. My face, or at least my my condensed power crystal has 2 lines of luck, and then my black bean mark has a pretty decent flame score, considering it was just dropped that way. So, yeah, they're a little bit stronger than my drop gear, which is like good enough for me, I guess, because it feels so bad investing in gear that you're going to make a new version of anyways. So,
kind of, yeah. It depends on if you need the damage. That would always be, for me, like that would be the litmus test. Is like, okay, can I upgrade? Answer is always yes. So that's a bad question. Do I want to upgrade? That just depends on mood and stuff. It's more like, is it functional? Is the upgrade necessary for you to be able to clear content that you otherwise can't? Or does it give you enough of a speed increase that it feels to you like it's worth investing that money? Those are the 2 most important questions. So if your team is like struggling and everyone is already like kind of maxed out at their point or at their own limits, and you could technically throw a bunch of bill in an item and pretty realistically get an upgrade and make it easier for the whole team, that might be a good decision to do it. If you want to be able to solo something, like that's a specific goal you have and you just can't do it, you need to get stronger, you look for, path of least resistance, you look where your money could be the most efficient in making an upgrade. But if it's like, oh, I have dineros and I have money and there is an event, I guess I'll upgrade. No, hold it until Arcane comes around. And then once you make the big Arcane upgrade, then you can always reevaluate and see like, okay, do I still need damage? Well, then of course, like pushing the Sweetwater Tattoo and Monocle past 17 will make sense. But by that time, you will have accumulated a bunch more dineros, and then you can pretty safely upgrade there without, getting stuck in a rut or something like that. Gotcha. Or maybe you get a pat mark by then, and then that makes it a whole bunch simpler. Then you can transpose and work on that, right? You give yourself a little bit more time, and that's why I mean by prioritizing based on backups. Because like, what are the items you got to 21? Well, you got your Katara, which you can get like 6 backups a day for, almost realistically, and then CRA, which you have probably like a giant pile of, right? So that's where there's the least risk, where most backups, and that's where you push the hardest at first. And so that just makes the most sense.
In that regard, speaking of like transposing and dineros and all that, is the Dom pendant?
Yes.
Like,
yeah, it's good.
Is that a good enough flame? Okay.
Especially because you can count that all stat basically as 10. So this is looking at like almost a 130 flame score. So
sweet.
Yeah.
I will transpose that. And is that something? Is that something that I should be looking to do like ASAP? Because that would be definitely a big upgrade to not be wearing. Because that's what I wear. That's one of the things I wear when I boss right now.
right.
Because it has a decent flame and still 2 lines of luck, so it's definitely not that bad.
Yeah, maybe not super important right now. In general, you want to have it transposed before a 5.10.15 comes around, so that as soon as 5.10.15 is announced or like comes around, you can immediately go for it. Yeah, you don't want to. You don't have to do like on the day itself, and then you fail, and you're like, well, I guess we're not Star Forcing. Yeah.
I guess we're waiting until next one.
Yeah. Wait another
all right,
6 to 8 weeks. Yeah.
Maybe like a week before the next 5.10.15, I'll transpose it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Should I wait till I'm done with the last of my CRA and my Kana and my Meister rings? Because those ones obviously are even easier to get backups for than...
Yeah. So the next project, so that's why I mentioned the potential, because I think your potentials are like fine aside from those things that we mentioned. I wouldn't go like min-maxing on trying to 2.5 or 3 line on all your accessories and stuff. The ones you have are fine. I would focus more on just saving up either for Arcane or for the next 5.10.15 and trying to get backups for specifically for the accessories, and then more specifically within that for all of your superior Golic stuff, because that's like the permanent stuff that you have that is still on the lower end because it's all like stuck on 17 stars.
Yeah.
So it'd be like Dom pendants, reinforced earrings, Dominator pendants, and then Kana treasures or Meisters, depending on whatever you get a bunch of.
Yeah. I noticed like for Meisters, I just don't have enough of those spell essence things.
Grand spell essences, yeah.
I get a good amount of well, not a good amount, but I've gotten enough of the primals to make a few rings and have a few backups.
What's possible for the Grand Spell Essences is that they are like scattered around your account. One of the main things is that they drop from pretty low level monsters, and it is very possible that once you're working on Legion, that every character gets like 10 or so of them, and that if you have 30 characters, you actually have 300 of them just sitting in your account, but they're just spread over your Legion mules.
Okay.
And that could make a huge difference in how many you actually have versus how many you think you have. So one of the things I like to do...
Unfortunately, I did check all my characters, and I'm pretty sure I used to just sell them. I didn't know they were important.
Okay, yeah, then that would...
like, on all my past mains, I was like, oh, nice, I can sell these 10 for 10 mesos.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, you're just thinking about making room in your inventory at that point.
Yeah. I did not know that one day...
Yep, one day you would need them. Yeah, the game has the tendency to not really convey the value of certain items very well. I think the best conveyor still to this point is like the rarity of an item. If you get it a lot, it's generally not very necessary or not very valuable. If you tend to not get it very much, it tends to be valuable. That's how I usually go about it. Like if I see something that I haven't really seen before or you see very few of, I tend to just hold on to it just in case. And if you get literally thousands of it, because the way I see it, that even if you need literally thousands of it, you can still farm for it and get them back. But if it's rare and you only have a few and you get rid of those, there's a chance you can never get them again, right? So that's kind of how I look at it. I did definitely NPC some of my primals in the early game, though. I think I NPC'd my first 3 primals.
I know I got rid of a few
I mean, 10 mil, dude. That's so much money in the beginning.
Just 10 mil sitting in my pocket right
This was like 5 years ago, okay? 10 mil was a lot of money, chat.
Don't, 3 years,
don't judge
that
me.
was a lot of money.
Exactly, yeah.
I definitely, I know for a fact I've done that for at least one primal on my paladin that we talked about back in the day. Yeah. But that being said, I think while I work on my Legion, I will accumulate some more. So, yeah, that is the point. Because I haven't really like actually worked on my Legion. What I have right now is just the bare minimum plus me failing at making a bunch of mains.
Okay, that's what this looks like. That's already pretty solid. That's a lot of failed mains, I would say.
Well, basically everything that's above level 200 was what I thought would be a main, which at this point I think is like 6 or more characters, and they never even made it past,
panned out.
Vanishing Journey. So
yeah, you mentioned like 205-ish is where you kind of
seems to be my plateau for most of them.
We have 14 level 200s.
the last. I mean, some of them is just because I'm waiting to push them to 210.
Yeah, and some Terra burns and stuff like that.
Yeah. I'm not that much of a quitter, I swear. I can stay with this class.
I swear I have loyalty.
Yeah. But then the only other thing gear specific, I guess, is let me see. Where was it? Should I put any money at all into my Absolab stuff? I'm thinking the answer would be no, but if
no, I don't think. From what I saw, like the worst one is like 20% stat, right? For potential, and then Star Force stays at 17. Flames already checked, we're all good. 23 shoes, 23 shoulder,
23, maybe 21.
23. Yeah, no, they're all fine. They're all fine. Wouldn't touch that anymore.
And then
all the pressure's going towards Star Force on the items in order of backup. So like CRA top would be first, then probably your rings would come after that because I saw you have some backups for that. And then you know, if you get high on the Meister immediately, boom, you use more Meisters to transfer into Superior. If you blow up a bunch of Meisters, but you have a bunch of Kana treasures, then you can use those instead. You know, wherever path of least resistance just leads you, wherever the opportunity is. If you run out of rings, but you have a bunch of reinforced earrings instead, then just go for the reinforced earrings and transfer over. And specifically on the items that you know you're going to transfer over, so basically all of your Superior Golic stuff, because you don't want to end up having to boom that. Of course, like earrings and belts, you could find backup, so that could be an exception. But most of the time, you're going to transfer hammer those over, and that definitely means that you don't go super hard on their potentials. But yeah, like for the belt, you already kind of didn't. Like that's good enough, right? You have the all stats, you have 3 useful lines. Like there's no reason to really push beyond that. Like the earrings, they're in a good position, and knowing that you most likely are going to transfer hammer over that anyway, you don't want to push that any further. So other than your Katana and then the Katara and then the weapon when it comes up, I wouldn't work on any of the potentials either. It'd just mainly be a lot of saving, a lot of dailies, right? That's like the doctor's advice is a lot of dailies to give yourself as many opportunities as possible for backups, for relevant backups, and then just banking on droplets, events, leveling, Legion.
Should I start saving pink bean belts to transfer soon, or because I figured that would be like kind of a last priority, especially since it's one of my more decent potentials.
And you can start that the last as well. You don't want to have your whole inventory full of like 600 equips. If you see 5 and 15 is coming in a week, you can start doing normal every day and then chaos once with all your drop rate, and you can probably get like 7 or 8 belts in like a week or two. And then you have all the backups you essentially need for a 5 and 15. It's almost impossible to blow up that many on a 5 and 15 because average booms is like 3 or something. So you really have to, So I would just let that depend on how much inventory space you have.
Okay. I also had a question about, does the Chaos Vellum Hat ever have any relevance? Because I don't really know how lucky items work too well.
Not anymore. At this point, they only work well for zeros. Essentially, they work on any set that has that type of equipment in the set, as long as you already have 3 other pieces of the set active when you equip it. And then it'll count as the 4th or 5th or 6th or however many pieces you have. So you can double dip with it. So, the reason
you can get multiple set effects.
Yeah, and that will like counteract the weaker stats on it, right? Because it doesn't have flame advantage, but it does go up to 22. So, but you lose like flame stats on it, and you lose compared to an Abzo hat or an Arcane hat, you lose the level 160 tier. But then to compensate for that, you get double set bonus. So zeros will use it, so they can dip into 5 set Arcane and 4 set, yeah, and 4 set CRA with it, so that you can get 60% boss extra from them basically, and that makes it better than going for an Abzor or Arcane hat.
Hey, how do they get 4 set? Because they're not using the weapon.
Yeah, that's because their weapon is different. Their weapon can be, you can choose which set it is a part of, separately from which weapon it is. So you can make it an Arcane base stat weapon, but make it so that it's part of the CRA set.
Part of the CRA set.
Yeah, and they'll equip not as a lucky item, but as a CRA weapon. So then the hat will count as 4 set for CRA, and because it's a CRA weapon and you have the other, you wear the, the cape. So it doesn't count as Arcane for the set, but because you have cape, shoe, glove, and shoulder, it counts as the 5th one there. So then you get the 30 boss from both. Yeah.
Dang. That's pretty ingenious.
Yeah, there were some shenanigans possible and everything, and then later when you get the Genesis weapon, that's a lucky item anyway, and then it still kind of gets overturned, and then they'd have to switch to the then they switch to the CRA hat again, so then they can get 4 set with the weapon, and then the weapon becomes 5 set instead. So they still have to switch at that point. But that's basically the only one where the min-maxing. There was like a point where the min-maxing was kind of worth if you went for 3 set alien invasion accessories plus what was it? I think 8 set boss. No, not boss accessory, because there's like a hat in the alien invasion, so you could like triple dip into CRA plus alien invasion plus something else.
Imagine alien invasion being relevant. Yeah. It's crazy.
But that was like, that's so much work that by the time you have that and by the time you find that lucky hat, it's already not worth it anymore. You've already like outpaced the position in the game where that's any kind of gain. So it's cool to theory craft like that, but yeah, it was a little bit too much.
Okay. Yeah, I was just wondering because when I got one, I was like, does this work to make my APSO and CRA APSO and CRA together? But it didn't seem worth the struggles for a.
Yeah, it's just more trouble than it's worth, basically. Yeah.
Okay. I think that's it in terms of just my questions. If you don't mind me just quickly going through my list to see.
Go for it. I don't think we've missed any.
Oh, the last thing I guess would be my title. I don't really have one that's relevant. Should I do the Monad one or wait for a Pink Bean event?
Yeah, usually I would say wait for Pink Bean, but we've skipped the last 2 years of Pink Bean so far. I don't know if they've completely just taken that out of the rotation, if it's too difficult, or if it... I don't know. I would probably go for the Monad just to make sure that you have something to do. And it shouldn't be too bad. Like, the killing Julieta without dying should be fairly easy. You should just blow that up on one try and it doesn't even have the chance to crash you. That does, leave you open to having to do the whole storyline, but... if you don't care about the storyline too much, you could also just do get the one that you do when you kill CRA 20 times.
Oh, is that one just as good?
It's like almost as good. It's like comparable. It's a little bit less, but it's like comparable. It even has a little bit of IED versus a little bit of flat stats, so it might even scale better towards the end game.
All right, well, I'm just gonna do that then, and I'll worry about it for now.
Yeah, because Monad is quite a bit of time as well, so.
Yeah, it's like a 2 to 3 hour investment. I heard. I don't know.
Yeah,
if that's
I've heard worse. So 2 to 3 seems like a conservative estimate, or someone who like speedruns it and knows what to do exactly.
Yeah, that's definitely not me. All right, I think that's it then. If there's one that I can just passively get from doing my weeklies, I think that's the one for me. Cause
yeah, you have to kill all of them 10.
High profit. Yeah.
You have to kill all of them 10 times to get the medal, and then once you have all the medals, you'll like proc like a new quest to get the title, and then you do another 10 times. Yeah.
I'm on the second part. I already got the medal, so
okay,
I think I have like 4 more weeks to go, actually.
Yeah, then I would probably just do that.
Yes, screw that.
You said I've done Monad 6 times. It doesn't get any better. Wait, why do you do it 6 times? Doesn't it unlock everything for your account if you do it once? It used to be a lot of experience, though. That's why people did it. I think they started it at like.
Just to optimize it.
I think you could start it at like level 60 or something, and people would start it at level 60 and then just quit at 140
like
or something.
40 levels, yeah.
They would go all the way over 100, and they would just use it to level mules without having to fund them at all. So. Oh, the titles. All right. So yeah, no, you want to do it on characters that you can just one tap the boss, because you DC over half the times. That content is not stable.
Nice. I hope they're planning on making the client better, right? Like they're rewriting the whole code into modern?
They have. I don't know enough about coding to say if that's true or not. They have a 64-bit client. I know that's what they're working on. I don't know if that will make the whole game better, or it will just make it impossible for memory leak to occur in the sense that it does now.
Yeah, I'm not going to
hope.
In areas I don't know, but
I hope the game becomes better.
It'll make the game more stable, hopefully.
I hope that, yeah. I hope it definitely does, because I think that's the main thing that is stopping me from like really telling people like, oh, this is a great game, you should play it, because it's like, well, I mean, I'm here, but whenever someone's like, oh, I just came back, I'm gonna play Maple again. I'm always like, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. I don't know what happened in your life to make you make such a horrible decision, but I mean,
I swear the memory leak that causes you to crash always happens right when you're popping your like cooldowns that you don't get back, like your guild skills or your whatever it may be, your
MVP buffs, stuff out the window. Yeah, and it's worse if you're training because the buffs are replaceable. But like if you lose your map, like if you just spent a whole bunch of time CCing to finally find your map, you pop your buffs and then you crash because of all the CCing, and then you come back and the map's taken, and then you still have some of the buffs, but others disappear. And it's like, it's such a shit show. Yeah, makes it hard to love this game.
Guess I'm logging off now.
Yeah, I guess we're doing something else. Yeah, maybe I'll do some bosses or something.
Yeah. Well, that was it, I think. And if I have any other ones, I can always just throw them in your chat, and I'm sure somebody will answer them.
Oh yeah, we have a bunch of helpful people. We've gathered some.
Oh, I do have a couple tip questions real quick that should be quick, if you don't mind. So I haven't done Helix in a long time, to be honest, because when I did do it back when I was much weaker, to be fair, it was not an enjoyable experience. Ever since they changed that boss, I did not like going in. And is there something to make it more manageable? I don't know if maybe at this point I can kill it in 30 seconds. I'm not sure, but it used to be like if you're on the wrong side of the map, you're getting hit.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm just bad at the game, or if there's like an easier way to take the boss, or if because my dummy, the target dummy that DualBlades can put down, it doesn't seem to ever target that for me.
Oh yeah, I have a bad experience. Like I have my marksman has a thing like that as well, and apparently there's like tricks to it where if you put it down at the right place at the right time, then it actually does work. But I haven't looked into it as much. I think some people, and familiars break aggro. That's another thing. Like familiars are seen as targets themselves, and then they can, they can break. Yeah. To make Golik's target dummy, put it really close to the face. Yeah. So I mean, people in chat know this would be like for the specific DualBlade Discord. I guess it would know that specifically more. The main thing I just do for phase 1 is just always hop around the face. If the eyes are, facing where you are, just jump to the other side while you're attacking and throw out the skills.
So just give up doing damage until he's committing to something, and then you can throw out your bursts. Because that seems like a decent strategy for a DualBlade with your short burst cooldowns.
Yeah, or while you're flash jumping through him, just tap him in the meantime, something like that. While you're moving from one side to the other. But yeah, if you definitely see that he's breathing on one side, but even then he can turn around on a dime and just breathe the other side immediately as well. It's more risky. So either figuring out how the target works, the dummy you have, I guess, works, or look for the opportunistic moments. But you do have a lot of damage already, right? So you should go through phase 1 relatively quickly.
It's phase 2, not being able to duck under the hand nowadays is the thing that always bugs me, because that's such a muscle memory thing that I used to do that I never up jump it, because I think DualBlades can. I'm not sure if theirs is big enough, but I think they can. And
there's a few options.
I just always duck and kill myself.
Yeah, it's not great. I probably put the Dark Flare down in the middle, right at the end of phase 1, right as you kill it, so that the potatoes at least get stopped for a bit.
DualBlades don't have a...
Oh no, wait, is that Shadower, was it? Shadower and Nightlord have that? Oh, okay, DualBlade don't have that. You don't have, and that decoy you have doesn't do any damage, right? It just sits there.
No, it just sits there and makes emotes, I think it's hit.
Oh wow, that's...
Yeah,
if looks could kill, then at least he could kill the potatoes.
I'm glad they implemented that into it.
Yeah, beautiful. I guess the main thing, and I guess the mobbing version of your 4th V that doesn't hit vertically enough to kill it, right? Yeah, I use True Arachnid Reflection myself on the on the Dell.
I mean, I usually do leave that down there.
Yeah, I go to the right side of the map and then pop it there, so it's close enough to hit him, but mostly hit the right side of the map, so you can cut off the early influx, so you have a little bit more time until they reach the middle. So what I usually do. And then from the and I usually stand all the way on the left side of the platform, just out of his range. And I think so. One thing you could do if the hand shows up is you can down jump under it and then just rope lift back up. That's what I tend to do. And then as you down jump, kill the potatoes near you, at least on that side.
God, you're asking a lot from me while reversed. Like if you get hit by that reverse.
No, well, you have to stay far enough away from the reverse. I don't know. Can your regular attack not hit far enough?
Phantom blow is kind of just like a little.
It's pretty melee.
A little two incher, but I mean, I think it could maybe hit because it does hit outside of its animation slightly nowadays. After they gave it 2 range buffs back in the day, but it's still. Yeah, you still want to be pretty close to them. So I'm not sure. Maybe I should just wait till I see the animation and then get closer, but then he could just do it again.
Yeah. Well, with the hands, so I think you can up Blade Ascension and then Blade Ascension again before you land, and that should give you enough time to land when the hand is gone, right?
If you up Blade Ascension, you can't do it again in the air.
Oh, right, you have to do the regular one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
If you could up and then do it again, that would be a little busted on the mobility, I think.
I mean,
yeah, it's not like
the momentum.
Blaster, but you'd still be able to.
Not quite blaster, no. It's on a different level. Yeah, what I usually do on my hero is like down jump when the hand comes, and then rope lift back up, or up jump. But yeah, you don't have an up jump, so you'd have to rope lift back up.
I'll just do my best to not get hit by the reverse. Then it seems like that's the only thing that would stop me from being able to just do my old strat.
Some people talked about like putting the decoy close to his face on the right side and then standing on the left or something. But then again, so that probably means you have to take off your familiars to make sure that they don't break your aggro and stuff.
Do you even need IED for Gullix?
Helix has 250. 250
well,
PDR.
I think my natural should be enough, but I don't think I need my IED familiars for it. So
yeah, it should be fine without. It's more about survivability, and use your resistance link in case you do get clapped, that you don't get like perma reclapped upon entry, because that's.
I need to level that up. Mine's only level 3 or 4, I think.
Yeah, that's a good.
The only other tip one that has given me grief and endless suffering is Spirit Savior.
Right.
It seems like if you have any sort of ping issue at all, which I don't think mine is bad by any means, but sometimes that flying guy just eats me. And I know that's the whole point of it, is you're trying to avoid him, but I swear sometimes like my inputs don't happen at the same time, and if I'm not sure if anybody else feels like more laggy in that map, but I swear that guy is like teleporting around.
Well, there is definitely some bad server lag going on like the last few days for sure, and there's the history, since we are still stuck on the 30 channels, that there's a bunch of just bad channels that have inherently more lag, and that makes things like Spirit Savior definitely magnifies or enhances that problem, where that can make the whole map respond in a very, very bad way. Like you will just hit a rock spirit, and the dude will just keep moving because the rock spirit hasn't appeared yet, and it'll just take a while, and he'll just like slowly fly up to you, and you're just waiting for the spirit. Yeah.
So the bad channels is a real thing?
Yeah, it's a real thing. But now even the good channels are kind of bad if you play it while it's like peak population. So you want to do it when the NA people are sleeping, basically, is when you want to do your dailies. Specifically that one.
I am in NA people, so...
Yep. Like before work or something, like when the tryhards went to sleep and the real gamers aren't online yet. Yeah,
okay.
It's unfortunate, but it seems to be. I hope they alleviate. Well, maybe with the current update, maybe something was alleviated. But yeah, I did notice it. I was doing my Spirit Savior as well, even on what was supposed to be a good channel, but it's not great. It was not good.
Kind of bad. Yeah. Okay. Well, at least I know it's not just me, even if there's not really the best solution for it. At least we're all suffering together. That's good to know.
Yeah, for training as well, I try to avoid like the more peak hours.
Training, I feel like there's never a good time anymore if you're in NA, because everybody's just freaking always... Everybody's going so hard right now, especially because it's summer, like you said. There's just
Yeah, and the
people
sherbet
on
pet
every
they're trying to
copy.
squeeze out. Yeah.
The last bit if they yeah, mine's already dead, so
And the
um,
last like the last few days of the month are bad because people want to finish their totems, and the first few days are bad because the tryhards are getting all their new totems as well. So
yeah,
like,
it's the first, so I'm
yeah,
sure people
would
are
it be like
just
in the middle of the day, in the middle of the month, when everything has died? It's like then it's perfect time because then it's the worst time because then nobody's training. Yeah,
yeah.
the best
Okay.
time is when it's the worst time. Yeah.
I can get out of your hair now since
Yep.
the server's back up and you can go do your thing.
I could do my
appreciate
thing.
everything you answered today.
Okay.
Hopefully I can make some of those changes, but I feel like a lot of it is kind of just like continue what I'm doing and go with just like give everything some time.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the gist of it felt like. Even the like question about the title, it's like, just keep doing what you're doing and you'll get one soon.
Yeah, it's good sometimes to just get confirmation to make sure that you're not like missing out on too much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Give you a little bit of peace.
I just
Peace of
hope after basically everything falls into place, my BA ends up being what it feels like it should, because that has been feeling like the biggest gap, and
Yeah.
nobody I've consulted really has the direct answer, you know?
Yeah, I think
Because it's like such a complicated thing. There's so many parts to what goes on into a BA that it's like there's no one thing that affects it. So
it might be the total. Well, because I'm thinking of like the stat. If the stat is like okay, if you're using that as an indicator, then that has to be like the flaw. So what I'm thinking if you roll at least 2 lines of attack or like a line attack on boss on the new Katara that you made, and you get your arcane weapon, those two should make a huge difference already. Like a good flame on the weapon and 17 on the weapon, at least 2 useful lines there. That will make a huge difference on your damage output on the BA. And I wouldn't be surprised if that already increases it by like almost 50% of what you have now.
okay.
Just
Well,
those
I'll just look
changes.
forward to those things then, since both of those are in the near future. And
Yeah.
if it's still bad at that point, I'll come back and demand a refund from you.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, we'll talk. We'll talk refunds at that point. Yeah, because I think I think the dagger, if you have a tier 6 flame on the Arcana, the dagger has more weapon attack without Star Force than I think an Abzo at 20 stars. So
Dang, that's a crazy statistic.
yeah, and then you have the line of attack that you can pretty safely get on top of what you currently have.
Yeah, I'm sure I
So-
can easily roll 2 lines at least. Hopefully 2 lines in boss, but that's probably like a 30 bill plus adventure.
Yeah, weapon has weapon has more outs because you have like the 40 and the 30 and the 35, and between all the tiers, so you do have more outs there. But there's more junk. Secondary is the worst, and then emblem is technically the cheapest, and then weapon is like in between kind of thing.
Does the secondary have like just completely irrelevant stats on there?
Mhm.
Well, should be
Well,
fun
it has
then.
it has actual stat on there as well, right? Which weapons don't really do that very much.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, once again, thank you very much.
No problem.
I will not actually demand a refund if anything.
Okay.
goes on.
Thank God. All right, I'll pass that along to my secretary, which is also me.
Secretary / accountant.
Yeah.
/ developer and content creator. Everything.
It'd be like the credits in the videos, like lighting me, filming me, editing me, also me. Yeah.
All right. Have a good rest of your day.
Yes, you too. Best of luck with everything, and I'll see you around. And yeah, you can always just, if there's one-off questions, let me know if it works out with like asking the more specific DualBlade questions. You can always ask some people in the chat, but we had a time where there were a bunch of DualBlades in chat, and then now we have a little bit of everything. Well, now we have a lot of Adels and some Canes, I guess. It does shift as well, of course, but you know, if you drop a question like that in the chat, there's always 1 or 2 people who know what they're talking about. Especially if there's 250 people, then you have to, I guess there's at least 5 or 6 DualBlade mains in the chat right now, so good chance one of them knows.
Cool. Well, thank you.
Yep, no problem, and best of luck.
Bye.
Okay, bye. Alright. Slightly longer session again. Oh god, I'm starting to feel the 2 hours lack of sleep. I woke up too early, and I couldn't fall back asleep, so now we are a little bit on the groggy side, But yes, I'm pointing at you. YouTube watchers, viewers. I hope that was educational for you, and hopefully you have some extra information to work off if you're in a similar situation and you'd like to move forward in the game. Things to look out for: balance between pieces of progress to maintain, and limits that you would go up to, so you don't tilt the balance too much in the other direction, to keep somewhat of efficiency. Smo, thank you for the gift sub to ADHD certified. Nice. So yes, as always, you know the outro. If you have battle analyses for me, training videos in higher level areas, or monster skill per hour, or you want to join the EU or NA Reboot Guild that I manage, or someone, or my editor manages in EU, or you have questions and you want one of these sessions for yourself, doesn't have to be about equips and about everything in the game. It can also be about a specific boss fight. It can be about whatever you want it to be about, basically. There's multiple formulas with varying lengths, and I also do private sessions for people who don't feel as comfortable doing this in public, because we do have people, you know, with like social anxiety and that kind of stuff online, of course, and then I won't put it on YouTube. Of course, that loses me a little bit of revenue, so those sessions are a little bit more pricey, but I can also make room for that in my schedule. So let me know if you need any of that. Links for all of that are in the description, and I will see you on the next one.